Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the iRacing Esports Network, and welcome to Elkhart Lake, Road America, for this rounds 12, 13, and 14 World GT Championship. We're hot off the back of our Enduro at Silverstone, and we're back to the free 20-minute sprint race format here around one of America's greatest circuits, 6.4 kilometers in length. And we're looking forward to this one tonight. In the commentary booth alongside me, Adam Bath, is Sam Fitzpatrick, a veteran of many a GT race on iRacing. And Sam, we covered this round a couple seasons ago, it might even have been last season, and as the qualifying session is ongoing, we're getting set for a pretty good evening's worth of action tonight with a packed grid of 50 plus cars.
Absolutely. We were racing around here in the Formula 3.5 Championship back on Saturday, and that was really good. So many... It's just a slipstream circuit, this. I mean, we were talking about it's almost like the Monza of America, this place, because you got those three really long straights, and in these cars, the car that Oscar Mangan is currently negotiating right now, the King, that's pretty much flat out, quite comfortably flat out for these guys. So you've got three mega long straights, loads of overtaking opportunities, 3 20-minute races, and these guys know this track so well. So I think there's going to be, obviously, 3 different winners. That's going to be no surprise. But it's also a couple of, perhaps, surprise winners after the reverse grids, because, yeah, the drivers will all have, I imagine, a very nice setup for this race.
I know, yeah, we're all too aware that we'll have a few extra viewers with us tonight as the ongoing coronavirus situation continues. But if you're new, first of all, welcome. Hope you are well. This is the World GT Championship made up of GT3 cars. So on the iRacing service, that is the McLaren MP4 12C GT3. We've got a very old Ford GT that's driven by Dennis Melcher. We've got the Mercedes AMG SLS GT3. We've got the Audi R8 GT3 and Ferrari's Effort and the BMW Z4. So we have got a big variety of cars. They usually are pretty evenly matched. So when we get the qualifying standings up at the end, you'll probably see the majority of them all within the top 10. And throughout the season, we have race meetings like this one, which are free 20-minute sprint races with reverse grids after that, and the occasional Enduro round, which is an hour and 45 minutes with a couple of pit stops thrown in too. So we are on the sprint format tonight, and it is pretty much like watching a touring car race but with sports cars instead. So it does provide some great races. We look here at Nicole Foggy, who's currently second. On the timing tower, those that are in green are the pros, ones in yellow are the pro-ams, and the cars that are in orange are in the AMs. So there is something to fight for throughout the entire field. And in terms of reverse grid, we can go as high as pretty much a full reverse. So hence why Sam was mentioning that we are almost certain have 3 different winners across the whole race thing. Unfortunately, we can't boast Sam, Max Verstappen or Lando Norris being in green, but we do have some of the best drivers on the iRacing service. Some pretty high I ratings out there too, and with a 50 plus grid, as we mentioned earlier, you won't find many iRacing leagues that have many more entries than that.
Yeah, this is really one of the most competitive leagues on all of iRacing, and I think if Lando and Max were here, yes, I think they'd be near the front, definitely. I think when it comes down to qualifying or maybe the race one, then they would be fighting for pole position. But of course, when you have a reverse grid, it takes such different skills, and these guys are so experienced from the ARLTC, for example. They take part in many different series, which involve, how important racecraft is. And those guys are absolute masters of this by now. They've been doing it for years upon years. Christian Rose is certainly one of them. And he's got some pretty good pace as well, does Rose. So he's up in 6th place at the moment. Andy Shield has just taken pole position ahead of Oscar Mangan and Ross McFarlane. Those 3 are the only drivers in the 2-minute 4s at the moment. In the championship, by the way, in the pro standings, Mark Fletcher is still leading the way. He's pretty much had that lead for the whole championship, but George McClare is keeping very honest, his Spitstone Motorsport teammates. Pete Harris had a great season. He's certainly still in the running, so too is Bibby. Rose, always very consistent there for CQR. Ben Palmer is in 6th. And also there's, the likes of Ed Dotka and Thompson as well. Just Thompson, only 12th place in the championship now. About half the points of the championship leader. With penalties and non-finishes, he could have got so many more points than he has. Watch out for Thompson though, but he does need to start making back some points. He is going to fight for this title. In the Pro-Am, Horder is leading the way ahead of Bunn and Gray, and in the Amateurs, Steve Burke is leading ahead of Lars Van Rijn and Craig Jones. Those last two categories extremely close. So watch out for those drivers. Watch out for all the drivers. They're all fighting for something, as Adam was saying earlier on. Everyone's still in the championship hunt, still in the first half of the season. And this is a pretty good race to take us to the midpoint of the championship. 4 more minutes to go in qualifying. And just as reminded, this is a long circuit, so once you cross the line, you can finish the lap that you started, even if the time does run out. So a little bit more than 5 minutes for these guys to improve on their lap times.
I was just about to say McLaren 1-2-3, but scrap that because it's now McLaren 1-2-3-4 because Pete Harrod has gone top of the leaderboards with a very late lap, 2 minute 4.73. And they can see the manufacturers. It's if you're of a German persuasion, that makes great reading. Ferrari and BMW will just be having to try and work out how things are going to get better. I wonder this is because of the new build, Sam, but McLaren look like they're really on form. They were looking like they were doing that at the last sprint race we did, which was back at Interlagos, and well, really reasserted their claim to be one of the top marks in this season's championship here in qualifying, with the front 2 rows blocks out by them. After today, Road America, we go on a week's break, but after that we return at Monza. Then we have Enduro at Daytona before going to Suzuka, Spa, Watkins Glen, and we end the season at Imola, track that you and me covered a World GT event a couple of seasons ago, which didn't go too well.
That was a great meme from that, though, to be fair.
Yeah, check out this coverage on the iRacing Esports Network tonight is getting brought to you by Apex Racing TV. So make sure to go and follow our social channels. We do have a YouTube channel as well, may as well plug that. As well as subscribing to the iRacing Esports Network, which we are on tonight. Bath and Sam Fitzpatrick bringing you all the action with Sam Kumo as well, I should mention, on the cameras, giving you all the shots that we've got here at the moment, with Michael Evdoko going up to P5 of 2 minute 5.1 with just over 2 minutes to go. Also, if you look at with an eagle eye amongst you, would have noticed that if on the timing tower a red flash appears for a second or two, that means they are off the circuit, which is quite relevant in qualifying, because if they go off just once, that is their qualifying lap invalidated. They'll have to go around, set another time, and at a track like this, Sam, which is probably towards the longer of the laps got the World GT calendar, dip a wheel into the dirt on the exit of either turn 1 or turn 3, they officially call it, and that's going to be a massive pain for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the way that I remember this is I don't really think of the long straights, I don't think of the fabulous corners. I think of the incredibly long pace lap that we have to do around this track, and this is undoubtedly the longest pace lap that we do on iRacing. We have to do the whole lap. We can't just line up before Canada corner. Nope, we have to do the entire lap. So it is certainly one of the longest laps to deal with. Yeah, of course, if you do mess up your lap time, then you gotta go all the way around again. And of course, a lot of fuel will be burnt. How much confidence do you have in yourself? It's a little bit easier nowadays because anyone who's tried the new tyre model knows that the tyres kind of build up pace as they go along. So you kind of, by the time you get to lap 3, 4, 5, you kind of get the peak of the tyres, whereas before they would have peaked pretty much on your out lap, and then you'd have to crawl round, try to keep some of that pace for your first lap, and then have to come back to the pit. So they are able to set a few more lap times now, and 15 minutes as well is a decent amount of time for them to try to improve. Trying to improve also is Nick Madsen. I think that was an out lap for him. Now starting his 5th lap of this session. This will be his last lap. 10 seconds to go for the drivers to cross the line. The top 2 are in the pits. Oscar Mangan, though, starts the lap. Michael Evdokka up there in 5th. He has won a race around here at Road America, I recall, in this championship. He has just about started the lap. He's a bit further behind Madsen. Mangan, McFarlane, Evdokka, all trying to improve. Christian Rose is also coming through the final few corners right now. And of course, won the championship the challenges right now. He needs to improve by half a second to get to pole. I doubt that will happen, but he could break the 2 minute 5 barrier. He improves by 4/100ths of a second. and it's not enough to promote him any places. So that'll be a little bit frustrating for Rose, because he's a little bit by himself. There's 1/10 to the next car, 1/10 behind, which is a pretty big gap in this entire field. But Rose will have to line up in that place. Oscar Mangan then, probably the most likely, along with Ross McFarlane behind him, to take the challenge to Harrod and Shield for pole.
So here comes Oscar Mangan now through the carousel, passes a stricken car there. Not sure who that was, but regardless, on he goes towards the kink, one of the toughest corners to get right on the whole circuit. No runoff area at all on the outside. If you do get it wrong here, you are heading straight to the concrete wall and an early retirement. And Oscar Mangan showing he's leaving nothing on the line here as he goes in pursuit of a front row start here on the brakes into Canada corner. Probably one of the main overtaking points on the circuits here. And the McLarens are currently the only cars to lap inside 2-minute 5s, as Sam was mentioning earlier. You can see from the bottom of the screen who's setting quick lap times and who isn't. If it's a sea of orange boxes, they're not going to be improving at all. If it's green, they stand a chance of doing so. Oscar Mangan just has one green box, but could he be able to get onto the front row of the grid? Over the top of the hill he goes, and the former World Championship Grand Prix Series driver cracks the beam and goes fastest, 2:04.696. Wow. That is a massive improvement, and he improves onto pole position by 300 seconds, leaving Harrod in second. And looking there as well, Ross McFarlane looks like he has completed his lap. So what a dramatic end to the qualifying session that was, sir.
He really was. I think McFarlane as well went off the checker at the end. Not sure how strong his lap time was. But that was, mega from Mangan. And as you were saying, didn't seem like he was improving that many sectors, but must have just been a very clean lap for him. And he's put it on pole position. So once again, just underlying his pace. And once again, the field ever so close. This very long lap, as we've already explained. The top 12 drivers are separated by a second, which is kind of what we got used to in this series. But I'm just saying, 2-minute 4s for the absolute front runners, and near the back of the field, 2-minute 7s. Everyone all very competitive out there. Can get some pretty big reverse grids in this series. Something like upwards of 35, 40 drivers. So as long as you finish the race, you have a real chance at getting up on the grid. By the way, someone asked us on the YouTube chat, where are we from? Well, I'm from the lovely county of Norfolk, which is the best county in the United Kingdom. It's where everything happens. Everyone loves to go to Norfolk. That is where I'm from. Adam, I'm not even sure where you're from, Adam.
I'm from the West Midlands.
There you go.
So pretty much opposite ends of the country for me. Just near Birmingham, a place called Nuneaton. It's too far away from Coventry, which is a bit of a motor haven. That is where us two are from. Welcome to all of you on the live stream as well. We have got plenty of time to get through the grid because, as Sam mentioned earlier, we have got to do a full pace lap around here. So it does give us a bit of opportunity to go into detail with a bit about each driver, and also the gaps between each car. And to see just from those first 6 rows is incredibly tight. A couple of thousands in it. I wouldn't be surprised if some cars have set identical lap time. So it's Oscar Mangan on pole, Pete Harrod second, Andy Shield third. 2 teammates there, Harrod and Shield, and it's 2 more teammates, Ross McFarlane and Michael Evdoka, driving for TechSense Style Motorsport, a team that Sam Fitzpatrick knows well. Nicole Foggy starting in 6th, car 66 for XVR Sim Racing. Then Christian Rose in his Audi, QR Club with Pure Sims in 7th. George McClay for Renvale Fitzstyle Motorsport 8th. Miguel Freitas in 9th. And completing the top 10, Rich Warmingham. 11th, Mark Fletcher, car 111, TechSense Fitzstyle Motorsport. 12th, Danes Brit Tech Sim Sport. Then Mike Gray, the first of the Pro-Am. See that with yellow. Nick Madsen, Dane. He didn't have the best of meetings at Silverstone last time out in our Enduro. There, Mike Horder, the Welshman. Basta Scotsman, just 2 tenths apart there for Boosted. And Brit, John Aegis, the Maltese, starting in 17th. Then the first of the Year 1 cars in Ashbeard. Simon Underhill, just under 100th second, Tim. And then Michael Blake is the first of AM drive. 21st is Billy Fletcher, 22nd Jake Black, the Aussie, He switched to a Ford for this one, which means we've got 2 Ford GT today. Then moving on further back as the cars get away on their formation lap, which has kind of muddled up the grid for me a little bit. We've got Billy Fletcher, Simon Underhill in the Nomad Sim Racing, Ben Gregory, then Matt Bunt, CQR Club of Pure Sims, Mark Woodhouse starting in 25th, Adam Hedgecock there in 26th for Boosted Sim Sport, then Steve Burke, then the first Fiercely Forward cars in Jose Melbourne, Carl Hardy 29th, Stephen McCaff was doing well in qualifying at one point, down in 30th. Chaz Draycott just 0.02 of a second behind him for first place. And then 32nd, Harry Wills. And Jorge Ordonez for Fiercely Forward. We saw him in the ARLTC on Thursday. And then Dan McCauley 34th, Lars Van Rijn 35th, and Fraser Smith in 36th. And the grid just keeps on coming. We've got another dozen or so cars to get through. Dennis Melcher at 37, the Belgian, starting in his Ford. Simon Field, Boosted Motorsport in 38th. Kevin Boland 39th. Carl Jacquelet for Year 1 Racing in 40th. Newman, CQR P&M, a veteran of this and the ARLTC in 41st. So too John Roberts. Matt Draycott for Team Lizard Motorsport. Then Dean Timms for BritTech Esports. Niall Crofer for Team Lizard Motorsport. Josh Thompson switching to the Audi for this race meeting. He's driven in the BMW for the majority of the campaign, but now the Audi favours more. Ben Palmer in 47th. Nathan Dixon for SCC Racing 48th. 49th, Lewis Bibby. 50th, Taylor Lane. And if they are starting at all at the back row of the grid, it is Tom Jacobs and Morgan Butler, Sam.
Well done for getting through that. Only got to do it 2 more times, and the results as well. So, lots of fun in store for that one. And yet we're still only halfway through the pace lap. You can see Mangan swerving from side to side. F1 style. With all the they can't do burnouts unfortunately, which would be a bit pointless anyway because of course it's going to be a rolling start for this. But they're trying to get as much heat in the tyres as possible. 34 degrees track temperature as well. So before the on the old tyre model, they would have been trying to get as little temperature in these tyres as possible. iRacing have significantly improved the tyre model, although some may disagree. And now it's important that you get as much temperature as possible into them. And we could see some big incidents. Unfortunately, around this place, turn 1 and turn 2 not too demanding on the cars. We see Watkins Glen, for example, a massive trouble spot with the first couple of corners nearly flat out. Should be a lot better here. And Mangan is absolutely sideways pretty much all the way down this section of circuit. It's a long run down into turn 1. It can be a little bit of a tricky start because it's very much up to the race leader when to floor it. They can go pretty much as soon as the pace car comes in, and then the green flag only comes out about 5 seconds afterwards. So you've got that whole margin for Mangan for when he wants to put his foot down. And of course you can get the slipstream as well into turn 1. But Mangan looking pretty good from pole. Car number 99 will want to break the draft straight away.
Yeah, the all-black McLaren for the final corner now, and you're right, we have seen cars in the past go pretty much straight away, and then others making everyone else bunch up behind, which can lead to some bottleneck situations. And it looks like Mangan is going now, it looks like, so he's putting his foot to the floor. It looks like everyone else has gone with him, and the first race tonight in the World GT Championship at Road America is go. And a good start by, look at the Sim Sports Racing USA cars. They're really trying to box in Ross McFarlane, who really can't do anything about the 2 teammates in front of him. Mangan's going to lead quite comfortably into the first corner, and a good job by everybody in the first dozen or so to get single file. For the most part, though, it looks like everybody has got through the first few corners without incident. But the trouble doesn't stop there yet, Sam, because now we've got to go onto the back straight as Oscar Mangan has a massive wobble.
Yeah, I thought Daneshout was going to have an issue there as well, but look at how Harrod has closed in massively. He pulled a massive gap, did Mangan up to about 0.4 of a second initially, and it's already been obliterated. 2 by 2 they go into turn 3, and this is the luxury that second and third have, being teammates. They can work together a little bit. Mike Gray running very wide in his Ferrari. Nick Madsen actually was running wide in the Ferrari, losing a couple of places. Good start from Mike Horder. Oh dear. Madsen round, and a few drivers taking evasive action. That was Ashley Beard having to go way off the circuit, and now we've got a couple more cars. That was a Nomad car, I think, making contact with maybe Blackall, Morgan involved, and McCaffrey, and it was all just very tricky, such a narrow parts of the track, and just a tiny bit of contact. I think most drivers did a good job not causing too much damage. They all slowed quite a bit.
And not what we wanted to see at all. Fortunately, it looks like everybody's been able to carry on without too much incident, but a few cars will be having to go back to the pits. One of the advantages of this series is if you do get involved in an early wreck, you do have a fast repair. So if you make it back to the pits, you can get a new car and get on your way from there. As we look at Rich Warmingham, and that is Christian Rose just in front of us. Behind us is Miguel Freitas. Warmingham's made one spot in the early going in his BMW. He is the highest beamer in the field. Gets a good opportunity to see if he can get past the Audi onto the front straight, as in the mirrors you've got the Ferrari, which, even though they like to change the balance of performance in this series, Sam, it is probably one of the quickest cars in the GT3 field as we get this first lap in the books.
Yeah, it is certainly one of the quickest, but as you were saying earlier on, I think the McLaren are gaining some speed recently. Also, the Ford maybe is, well, I think the Ford is still lacking a bit, but it's still great to see the Ford out there. We love drivers using the Ford. A few drivers turning back to the pits. I think Lewis Bibby was one of them as well, who started up in the top 10, I believe, did Bibby. So, not quite sure how he got involved in that. Also, an awful start for Nick Madsen. We saw him have one spin, and they had another spin as well, I think, in the penultimate corner. So, a dreadful start for him. Also, Foggy seemed to get ahead of Evdoka into fifth place on the start, but then he got overtaken by Evdoka and McClay. So not great for him. Here's side by side between Freitas, who struggled a bit, against Fletcher, championship leader, remember. Freitas also in the championship hunt, although he's got quite a few points in order to catch up. And Fletcher cannot get past here. To turn, what I call turn 4 at least. People have their opinions on whether it's turn 3 or turn 5, but I'm staying astute with turn 3. Simon Underhill's just gone off the circuit as well behind these guys. He was up in the top 20, and well, he was lucky not to get involved in that big collision at this corner on the last lap, but it seems like he's had his own collision this time.
Looking here at two Audis squabbling away. This is Simon Underhill and Fraser Smith, our car, I should say. On the inside there goes Pete Newman. He is up a position, up into P28. The CQR P&M car that we're looking at here is battling away with Simon Underhill as we go. King. Great view from the rear of the Audi, and great sound is off. Off goes the Audi, and through goes the McLaren of Fraser Smith, and Ben Palmer also goes through as well. So a few places lost there for the Audi after a little excursion on the exit of the carousel.
Yeah, Jose Morgan has also had a bit of trouble. Joe, that we saw in the ARLTC the other day. And there he is, and he's hesitating a bit to get back underway. I suppose we haven't seen anyone crash at the kink yet, but I guarantee it will happen at some point. Off the circuit is Carl Hardy. And that's just, well, incredibly frustrating mistake there. Just dipping a wheel onto the grass on the corner entry. It's got a bit of rear wing damage, no knee damage, I remember, on these machines. I think he's all right. I think he'll carry on, but it's going to be a lonely race for him from now on. Dennis Melchert, who we will have big favouritism to, seeing that he's running the blue oval, and he is going round the outside through turn 1. Can he make this one stick? This is the battle for 23rd place on Villegas, and he does get past. However, I don't think that's going to be the end of that battle.
A great battle between Melcher and I believe it's at least in our ARLTC it's Ordonez rather than Villegas. I think we go on that one, but Jorge is already under pressure now from the BMW behind. That is Stephen McCaffrey, and up the inside, late on the brakes, goes the Colombian. He through, and Dennis Melcher could be about to lose 2 places in 2 corners because now the BMW is up the inside. A little bit hesitant by McCaffrey. It is an uphill braking zone, so the car does get a little bit light there as you go up the hill. And now the BMW's got the Mercedes behind of the Maltese. That is John Aegis there in 26th. He is 10th in class. Car's off, and that's a Ford, so that must be Jake Blackall. And the BMW as well, also off in the kitty litter. That is, I believe, Mike Gray in the XVR Sim Racing car. So both of them who had good qualifyings down the order. Here's a replay as find out what happened to Jake Blackall.
It seems as though there were unrelated incidents, didn't it? Because Blackall has lost it by himself. Oh, Gray. Oh, Gray's already off, and maybe wanted to keep him company. and gets back going. Battle with a little bit of the flashing of the lights as well. Shame to see the Ford drop down. As Ortinez has had his own issue down in Canada, and well, that's brave driving backwards when there's oncoming traffic. Has to do a little bit of a 3-point turn now to get back going the right way. Alt's in the lead, by the way, as actually we go to Shield and McFarlane, and McFarlane getting past Shields then, so that's up into third place for Ross McFarlane. Next up is Evdotka behind, so perhaps Shield just struggling to match his qualifying pace. Remember, was it on provisional pole for much of the qualifying session? Ended up being in third, but that McLaren is fast, and they're just pulling away from Evdotka right now down the straight.
It's almost like in the days of the Seat Turbo Diesels in the World Touring Car Championship, they just used to fly away from everyone. But it is encouraging to see that Evdotka in the tight and twisty stuff can still keep pace with these McLarens and maybe pose a threat in the closing stages of the race, as he great view for the fight for the final spot on the podium. The final bit of bubbly between Ross McFarlane and Andy Shield. You go for the right-hander here, you've got to pretty much be single file through there, otherwise you're going to go off. Now towards this tricky left-hander, which was where we saw Jake Blackhall go off earlier, it almost invites an overtaking opportunity there, but then you've got to go through this right-hand of the carousel, and we've got more cars off. Two Mercedes, John Aegis, and it's a BMW as well, Stephen McCaffrey. These two were together, and they were fighting for position the last time we checked in on them. So I wonder if something has gone on between these two. Here's a replay. So up the inside goes the Audi 170, that is Simon Underhill. Then, into one, the big squeeze, and all three of them come off worse, really. The Audi loses a few positions there, Underhill, he gets going again, but Paul McCaffrey and his assailant, they both got to carry on way down the order now.
Yep, so boring races for them as well. Could still be reverse grid pole potentially, but they need to get very, very lucky to say the least. So now we've got a queue. As Evdokka's got past Shield as well. So Evdokka's up into fourth and has lost a lot of time to McFarlane as well, though. McFarlane actually just the fastest up of the race, 25.01. That's how much time he's been cooping up. Shield now to the outside, trying to come back at Evdokka. I feel as though if Evdokka can get to turn 3, then he should be all right to defend for the next lap or so. It should be able to kind of break about half a second, try to break the draft. And then also involved in this is Nicole Foggy, George McClay, Christian Rose, as Mark Fletcher is off the circuit, championship leader. And he has gone off at turn 2. He's back on though, but that is him dropping down even behind his brother as well into 15th place. Here is Evdokka having to defend, still a bit of contact behind. Shield gonna go for the move into 4. Evdokka opens the line, and that may well have been a bit of a mistake from him, because back comes Shield. Now Evdokka will have the inside for the next corner, but the outside line might be the way to go, and it's Andy Shield who gets back ahead of Michael Evdokka. It seems like Evdokka's faster, but Shield with that straight line speed managed to just position his car absolutely perfectly. And now Foggy is perhaps looking pretty likely to move up himself.
Well, we did wonder if that McLaren stranglehold could be breached. Not just yet. Michael Evdokka is really fancying his chances of getting past Andy Shield, but now he's got to worry about the XVR Sim Racing car behind. It's a driver that he knows well, Nicole Foggy. These two have raced in this championship for many a season, and in the ARLTC on a Thursday.
And Euro V8s.
And Euro V8s, many other series too. And now into Canada corner. Cover the inside line here. You pretty much do a decent job of keeping the car behind you, because it is pretty much impossible to get a move done around the outside. And if you're on the inside, you can also park the car on the apex and stop getting through there. So that's kind of the corner. Now this is the final corner, where you can see they try to run as wide as possible. Some drivers, as we've seen tonight, have put wheels on the grass and go off. And now we're on to the front straight again. Up the crest we go, and yeah, you can see the Audi there. That must be Christian Rose. He is trying to get by George McClay in the Mercedes as they come across the timing line now. And again, Nicole Foggy trying to get past Ross McFarlane too. Two great battles going on within the same camera shot down the front straight.
And will Foggy keep part of his car alongside that? Nearly got quartz panel, but Evdokka, good spatial awareness. Just leave his rival room, and then does get the inside for the next corner. And this is really helping Andy Shield, who looked as though he was going to be the one who was dropping down. Instead, now he's able to pull away. Mercedes v Mercedes. Foggy's got the small draft. That might just be the extra pace he needs down this straight. Does get his nose ahead, but well, Docker lost the position from this place on the circuit last time, and it might happen again because Foggy keeping his car alongside. And they've been alongside now for probably a good 20 seconds or so. Now, has Foggy got to back out of it on this occasion? Yes, he does, through the right-hander. Not being able to take advantage of this is McClay, as behind him, Rose trying to come back, but not quite to the space. Just too narrow this part of the track to really go for a lunge. And surprised that there's not more drivers involved in this, to be honest. I think if Fletcher hadn't been spun round, I think he would have probably caught up to these guys as well, but because they're fighting so much, must be losing each other a lot of time.
And all that has meant that Andy Shield has appeared up the road a little bit. The gap is now just about a second. McLaren in 4th and the Mercedes in 5th. But Christian Rose trying to find some way of getting his Audi up past this Mercedes McClay and then onto the back of Nicole Foggy. But this is a fantastic duel between the Mercedes and the Audi. He's pretty much fighting for best of the rest on us because the McLarens have looked so mighty here. This will only be the case in race 1 though. Got the reverse grid to forward to in race 2 and race 3. While the McLarens will have 1 to 4 on lockdown now, the chances are they won't have it in race 2 or race 3 once we mix up the positions. Over the line we go. Pete Harrod puts in a new PB, 2:05.18, 4 tenths of a second quicker than Oscar Mangan, but gonna have to try better than that to try and close in on the Irishman. As 2 wide into the first corner go Michael Evdocker and Nicole Foggy. Has Foggy got it done? Looks like he has. The XVR Sim Racing car, the Scotsman, through into 5th place, 1 place up from where he started. But now it's going to be the case of, first of all, keeping Evdocker at bay, and now trying to close in on Andy Shield as well, as we look at the fight between Harrod and Mangan, Harrod and McFarlane, I should say, for the runners-up spot.
Yeah, McFarlane's the only driver who got into the 2-minute 4 so far, and he's done it twice in consecutive laps. So that's how quick he is. Certainly does seem like he's the fastest driver out on track. Remarkable how they're 5 seconds clear. Remember, McFarlane had to overtake Shield, and he's pulled 5 seconds on him. Absolutely incredible. Just shows how much they have been fighting. Was a second faster on that last lap. And now that he's in the slipstream of Pete Harrod, this one, I think, could be, well, certainly very possible for him. And I think after that, to catch up to Mangan, maybe a little bit too far. I've only got 2 more laps to go. In fact, 3 more laps to go after this one. Maybe even 4. No, it will be 3 more laps to go, I think, at the conclusion of this one. And he's 2 seconds off the leaders. Already going into Canada corner, he's almost within passing range, 1/4 of a second. And a bit of a slide as well for Harrod. Leaves the door open. McFarlane wedges his car down the inside, but it was never really an overtaking opportunity. However, he's right on his back bumper, and it's going to be so tricky for Harrod to defend into turn 1. They've lost half a second just in the last couple of corners to Oscar Mangan. McFarlane not quite nailing the exit of the last corner as he'd hoped, but it's still a very long straight. 3/10 of a second, going down to 1/4 of a second. Not a big braking area. I think he's probably going to have to play second best this time. Yeah,
that little wobble at Canada corner was the invitation that he needed, Ross McFarlane. But these GT3 cars are wider than you'd expect, and the Texsense Fitstar Motorsport car just wasn't able to prise the door open fully for the final 2 corners. But still, as you said, got 5 minutes to try and get by, and could he slipstream to his advantage here? We said at the beginning of the programme that this is a real slipstream fest of a circuit, and here we go down the back straight. Is it an opportunity for McFarlane to wedge his McLaren at the inside? Sending it. Maybe on the final lap he might try something there if it comes to it, but for now the Sim Sports Racing USA car with a little bit of left rear damage remains in second place. Pete Harrod doing a good defensive drive in this opening race of the day. 2 BMWs fighting out here. This is Michael Blake and Mark Woodhouse, I believe, going into the left-hander, and that's Matt Bunn up the inside.
Oh, wow.
The BMW's been hit there. That was the Mercedes of Ben Gregory. Texsense Fitstar Motorsport hitting the rear of the Beamer, sending it around. And poor Mark Woodhouse has lost half a dozen places or so.
Yeah, that was mega unlucky there as Melchert is losing out to Underhill. Underhill's done well, hasn't he? Yeah, I swear he was spinning round earlier on at turn 4. But no, he's had a very good pace. Melchert, not bad pace himself. But yeah, just Gregory, I think, making contact as Christian Rose is off the stick. Oh dear, I think that might be our first casualty at the King. I was surprised that not too many have happened, and it's a surprising victim there. Usually so consistent is Christian Rose. And yeah, it's him who has made this mistake. And
oh, wow.
Wow, that was a big instant.
It's an interesting one. Usually you see cars lose it either going out wide on the exit or going into it. It looked like he lost it in the middle there. And it looks like he is waiting for the whole field to get by because he is still there. Hopefully he can get going again. As long as he doesn't fall 2 laps down, he will be eligible for the reverse grid. And away he goes, 28th place. So fortunately for Christian Rhodes to be able to carry on. Back to the fight for second place then. And there's not too long to go as Oscar Mangan, just if we were in any doubt of the pace that he's got here tonight, is put in the fastest lap of the race, Sam.
Yeah, 2-minute 4.76. That's a big lap. That's over 3/10 faster than any other lap he's set so far. So now 4 seconds clear. McFarlane, close as he's been. He had a look a couple of laps ago. And this time he is going to properly commit. Dives to the inside. Try and take his opponent by surprise. But Howard just almost took a normal racing line there. He was very smooth through turn 3. Okay, great pace. And he stays ahead. And he was not flummoxed whatsoever by that move from McFarlane, who was really darted out from underneath at the last moment. Behind them, Foggy's got ahead of Shield. So Foggy, who got past Evdoka, then had to... Oh, it's off the circuit! Is Harrod. Can he get back underway before the following cars catch up? It's so slippery, the grass, and he's losing places. He'll still be in the top 10, but even Richard Warming gets him past him. Freitas will just about edge past, and that will be so frustrating for Pete Howard, who'd driven a brilliant race, had a decent chance at second place, had the podium in the bag, and he's dropped it through that corner.
Such a shame for him. What it does mean, though, is after having a McLaren 1, 2, 3, 4...
Oh, Shields binned it.
Oh no, that's a disaster for Sim Sports Racing USA. Seconds after losing Sim Sports Racing USA car of Palmer, we have now lost another one. Andy Shield going for spin, and Harrod as well earlier. And poor Andy Shield's going to have to get going again. The King claims another victim, Sam.
Yep, they're all happening now, and I assume it's going to be the similar incident to Christian Rose. Oh, he's got so much damage on that. Could he... I mean, I guess he is going to just try to complete the next lap, and he will finish on the lead lap if he can do so. But it'll be a very tricky final lap, certainly. He just wants to score points. Does Andy Shield, of course, but oh yeah, what a shame for those McLarens. It is a temperamental car. We've been speaking big of it so far today, but it is probably the most tricky car to drive out of these GC3s. So now Nicole Foggy is up into 3rd place. I was in 6th place just a few laps ago, but he's up into 3rd now. As Matt Bunn and Ashley Beard are coming to the pits. I wonder if that's for fuel or maybe for repairs. The cars look all right.
Maybe they've toured around with a meatball flag, and which means basically come in, you've got loads of damage if you're new, and they've just want to serve it now before the end of the race so they don't get any other additional penalties. Here comes Jorge Ordonez into the pits, the Colombian driver for Fiercely Forward, also taking a tour down the pit lane as we enter the final lap of the race. Clock has ticks over the 20-minute mark, and while all this is going on, it's a world of serenity for Oscar Mangan. He will have loved every single moment of this, put in a fastest lap of the race on the previous lap, and now he is en route to pick up a victory for McLaren. He is driving for himself, he is a privateer, doesn't need any help out there in terms of teammates, puts the car on the pole, and it's going to be probably one of the most comfortable victories we're going to see all season, Sam, as he comes to the final few corners.
Yeah, 5 seconds is rare in this championship, but from pole position, good start, held off the others in the first few corners, and just been the fastest guy ever since.
Here we go then, getting set for the checkered flag to wave, and it's going to wave for Oscar Mangan. The man from Ireland takes the flag in the victory in the opening race of the day for he and for McLaren. Mangan's day here at Road America, and he puts in a fastest lap of the race on the final lap as well, just to reinforce that fact. Ross McFarlane gets second place, 5 seconds behind in the end, and Nicole Foggy completes the podium after a fantastic duel with Michael Evdoku, who finishes 4th. Top 5 is rounded out by George McClay with Warmingham 6th, Freighter 7th. Harrod in the end finishes P8th. We will rue that momentary lapse which resulted in him dropping down the order. Danes in 9th and Fletcher completing the top 10, as here is a scrap. Some of the tail end positions, including Andy Shield, who is missing the front of his car.
Yeah, that's an incredible final lap this from Andy Shield, that he's managed to set this up quite so quick. He loses out one more place, but I think that should be the least of his worries. 23rd place. I think the most amount of reverse grid, I think I was wrong earlier on where I said 40. I think I was getting confused with ARLTC. But I think we can get 24 in this series at a maximum. So if it is 24, 30 even, we're being told. So that could be very good for him. So Shield finishes in 23rd, Bunn in 24th, and 30th place will probably be Carl Yacolet, I imagine. So probably be last of those guys. Steve Burke, I think, the last of the runners at the moment in 36th place. But there is the race winner, Oscar Mangan, and that will gain him a few more points, which will go a very long way. 8th place in the championship. McFarlane in 7th place, so he won't make too many points up on McFarlane, unfortunately, but both of them will be closing in on championship leader Mark Fletcher after that.
Yeah, the most important thing for drivers that are fighting for a title in this series is get the points on the board early in race 1, which is set on outright pace, and then try and get as far forward as you can in races 2 and 3, because that's where the championship's going to be won. How far you can get up the field in those races where you've got to get some overtaking done due to the reverse grid. So as Oscar Mangan returns to the pits, we have still got a few cars to come across the lines. Until that happens, can't really bring you the full results. I'm waiting on this guy. It is Jose Malbran in the fiercely forward 187 Audi.
Oh no.
Oh, is he out of fuel? Please don't tell me he's out of fuel.
Come on, get out of the car, push it.
Talladega Nights, run across the line, please.
It's uphill. Oh, come on guys, help him out.
Poor Jose. He is about 200 metres, I'd say, from the line.
Well, he's flashing his lights, so there's clearly something in the battery. Use that to propel the car across.
Oh, well, he is the car we're waiting on. Mark Woodhouse hasn't come back to the pits, but I think he is just coming into the back of your shot now. I don't think you get penalised on iRacing if you take the checker flag twice. Here's Simon Field. He's still circulating. Maybe he could get Melbourne across the line, but
no, it's over.
It's irrelevant now. It's over now. They think it is all. They think it's all over. It is now. Poor Jose Malbran will be docked a lap, and I hope for his sake that doesn't mean he goes 2 laps down, because he will not be in the hunt for the reverse grid. It would be a massive shame for him. So that is unfortunate. But for now, we can run you through the finishing order from the opening race of the day. And the good thing is I've got a drink with me, so should be a breeze. Oscar Mangan wins. And as you can see, the top 10 all-pro drivers. Green. Ross McFarlane 5.1 seconds behind in the end. Nicole Foggy completing the podium. Michael Evdoka 4th. George McClay in 5th. Rich Warmingham 6th. 7th, Big Al Freitas. 8th, Pete Harrod, 3/10 behind. Very close finish between those two. 9th, Chris Daines. 10th, Mark Fletcher. 11th place for Luke Horder, top Pro-Am driver, the Welshman. Billy Fletcher in 12th. 13th, Bass, top 3 there in degree. And then Michael Blake finishing 14th overall, taking the Pro-Am honours too. That is a solid performance by the Team Mad driver. Ben Palmer 15th for Sim Sports Racing USA. His namesake Gregory 16th. Mike Gray 17th. Chaz Draycott in 18th place. Good drive there for Chaz. 19th for Simon Underhill. 20th for Dennis Melchert in his Ford. Fraser Smith in 21st. Pete Newman 22nd. There's Andy Shield in the end, 23rd. He got passed by Nick quite late on there. Then Matt Bunn, Ian Rose, Simon Fields. There's Carl Hardy, 27th. Ash Beard, 28th. 29th for Stephen McCaffrey. 30th for Carl Jacolet. Then Nathan Dixon, who started towards the rear, so that is a pretty decent effort there from Nathan. Get up there in the SCC racing car. Jorge Ordonez, he came into the pits late on, but still managed to finish on the lead lap in 32nd. Lars Van Rijn in 33rd. Mark Woodhouse there. His BMW was facing the wrong way earlier, but he still managed to finish 34th. Steve Burke 35th. Jose Malbran there he is in the end. Fortunately for him, he was the last classified finisher, 1 lap down. After that, if you're 2 laps down or more, you are out of it, I believe. Yes, Jake Blackall, 37th, John Aegis, 38th, Nick Madsen, the Dane, not having the best of races yet again. After spinning out at Silverstone, he finishes 4 laps down here. Adam Hedgecock, 9 laps down, along with Harry Wills and Dean Timms. Dan McCauley, 10 laps down, along with Kevin Boland, John Roberts, Matt Draycott, teammate Noel Crofer. Josh Thompson switching to the Audi hasn't helped, but I'm sure there were other behind, finishing 48th. 49th place in the end for Taylor Lane, Tom Jacobs and Morgan Butler all out. I wonder if they were all victims of the few skirmishes or in the early going here at Road America. Right, time for the first reverse grid of the evening, so let's get Sam Kumo in and get the reverse grid wheel up on the screen and find out who's going to be on the pole position. Race 2, Sam.
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately for Jose, we only got up to 30 places, so I don't think he would have been eligible for a reverse anyways.
Alright. There you go, up to 30. So let's find out who's going to be on the front then for race 2 here.
And it is just 25.
25. Well, that's music to Christian Rose's ears after going off at the kink earlier. The Audi is going to be at the front with Matt Bunn second, Andy Shield third, Pete Newman fourth, and Fraser Smith in fifth. Only one McLaren inside the top 5, Sam. So all they've got to do is try and keep it at bay for 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, Rose and Shield up there. Mega fortunate for those guys. They finished over a minute off the lead. But yeah, we'll be right at the front for this next race. Also, Shield finished starting in 3rd place in 2 consecutive races. Quite rare, that, I think. And yeah, some of the pro-ams as well, just getting involved as well. I believe Michael Blake, the only amateur driver to be within there as well. So that's really works well for him.
Yeah, good opportunity for them to get some mega points on the board. Right, we are going to take a quick break here on the iRacing Esports Network. If you're new, it'll probably be around 10 to 15 minutes. And then we'll be back getting set for race 2 of the day here in the World GT Championship at Road America. See you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Road America, where we're getting set for the second race of 3 in the World GT Championship. Hope you've enjoyed the action so far. We have just got a brief warm-up session going on at the moment, and then we'll be on the grid getting set for race 2, seeing 25 cars reversed. Really muddled the field up a little bit, which should make for a pretty entertaining race. In the commentary booth again, it's Adam Bath and Sam Fitzpatrick with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And Sam, after, well, not a procession, but a lights to flag dominant display from Oscar Mangan, he's now going to be starting right in the depths of the midfield, and it gives some of the other drivers the opportunity to get on the podium, or even better than that, notch up the first win of the campaign.
Yeah, definitely. Although, of course, we had a couple of drivers who were at the front of race 1, made late mistakes in the events, and it's enabled them to get high up on the grid for race 2. So I believe we got Christian Rose on pole position. I think Andy Shield as well up in 3rd position. So they are going to be really tricky to beat. Plenty of opportunities though for some Pro-Ams to get a good result. I think with this circuit you can kind of fight back. Even if you get overtaken, say, into turn 1, you've got a long run down to turn 3. You've got a really good chance at coming back at your rival. So we could see a lot of chopping and changing, I imagine. I think for the Pro-Ams it's going to be really important who you fight with. You need to pick your battles, right? If you got a fast car coming back at you, you're going to have to let them go, fight the others later on. If you do start fighting, then going to lose you a lot of time and might lose you at some places later on. So certainly race car going to be as important as ever.
Right, onto the grid. We got a bit nice symmetry there in the first few rows. Anyway, Christian Rose Pro starting on pole position for CQR Club with Pure Sims. Second on the grid, Pro-Am Matt Bunn, CQR Club with Pure Sims. It's all CQR Club front row. Andy Shield starting in 3rd. He's a Pro. Pete Newman starting in 4th, he is a Pro-Am. Then we've got a flurry of Pro-Ams after that, half a dozen of them. Fraser Smith in 5th, Dennis Melcher starting in 6th, Simon Underhill 7th, Chaz Draycott 8th, Mike Gray for XVR Sim Racing in 9th, and Ben Gregory completing the top 10. Ben Palmer starting in 11th, then it's Michael Blake, who was the highest AM driver in race 1, he starts in 12th. 13th place is Ethan Bass for Brittech Sim Sports. Billy Fletcher in 14th, then Mike Horder, who was the highest Pro-Am in race 1, in 15th place, and then Mark Fletcher, championship leader, in 16th. Chris Dane starting in 17th, then Pete Howard, Miguel Freitas, Rich Warmingham for XVR Sim Racing completing the top 20, and then it's George McClay, Michael Abdoka, Cole Foggy, and Ross McFarlane. 25th on the grid is the race 1 winner, Oscar Mangan, and Simon Field in 26th. All the cars after that are in their in the positions that they finished. Carl Hardy, Ash Beard, Stephen McCaffrey and Carl Jacquelet complete the top 30 on the grid. Jorge Ordonez in 31st, Lars Van Rijn 32nd, then Mark Woodhouse, Steve Burke, Jose Malbran, John Aegis. 37th on the grid, Adam Hedgecock, then Harry Wills, Dean Timms, Dan McCauley, Kevin Boland, John Roberts, Matt Draycott, and then Niall Crofer, Josh Thompson, Lewis Bibby, and Taylor Lane. Just the 47 cars taking to the start for race 2, and hopefully we have a bit of a cleaner opening lap than we did in race 1, where it took the cars until the left-hander at the end of this very long back straight, turn 3 or turn 5, whatever you prefer, for the chaos to ensue. Sam.
Yeah, it was a bit weird, wasn't it? Because turn 1, often, if you get 3 wide into turn 1, then there's going to be contact, and usually drivers get flung off to the side of the track. And then down in this place, you usually see a driver outbrake themselves and then just skid across on the inside and smash a few drivers in, a bit like 10-pin bowling. But actually, it was after this, and it was going into the section that we now approach, where it did all kick off, where the track really narrows up. Again, maybe 3 wide, and that's not going to work too well. But hopefully it's even cleaner this time. But there is a massive risk, of course. And of course, if you're one of the front runners, you want to gain as many places as you can. We so often see, particularly from the likes of Josh Thompson comes to mind, how you look down after a few corners and he's up 10 places somehow. You just question how on earth that's possible. And you've got to be aggressive in order to make that. But at the same time, I think these guys thinking about the points. There are so many drivers in the championship hunt for each of the classes. They've got to make sure that they score some decent points. But Yeah, Rose going to be the big favourite for this one, and we saw a good launch for the pole sitter last time as well. It does seem to be quite a benefit to start from pole. Yeah, Matt Bunn starting alongside. Could maybe Bunn hold off Shield in the opening stages to help out his teammate? Perhaps that will be the case.
Well, it looked like it was going to be a fantastic race one for Sim Sports Racing USA until a nightmare final 2 laps saw them lose their spots on the podium. I'm sure CQR Club of Pure Sims are hoping that does not happen to them. They are currently locked out the front row, and then CQR P&M with Pete Newman is in 4th place. Andy Shield would love to get a bit of redemption from what happened in race 1. He currently starts 3rd on the grid. You can just about make him out there in his McLaren MP4 12C. And he's just got the 2 teammates in front of him driving for 2 different manufacturers in Audi and BMW to get by for a chance at victory 007. So we're just going through Canada corner now. Oscar Mangan in race 1, Sammy he put the foot down pretty much just before we got over the top of the hill. Be interesting to see what these 2 teammates do this time.
Yeah, from 2nd place, you gotta have a great peripheral vision. That's when you really want triple screens to know when your rival's going. It might just be worth backing off slightly so that it does improve your vision of when he's going to go. They might also be communicating on the comms on when to go. So let's see if Bunn can keep up with his teammate on the runs through turn 1 now.
Over the top of the hill we go. The green lights are on, and we're underway here for race 2 at Road America. And straight away the 2 teammates going line astern, but they could be about to be engulfed. The BMW, it just hasn't got the legs, and the McLaren is straight up the inside. Can Andy Shield get 2nd place though? Round the outside goes the Beamer, but he's got no grip on the outside, and through up into 2nd place. As long as he gets his braking right, will go Andy Shield. There he goes. So it's Sim Sports Racing USA up into P2. It is Christian Rose with a 9/10 of a second lead already, and we've got a few cars nearly going off on the exit of turn 2. I did see an Audi going off in the background. That might have been, it was a Ferrari. Miguel Freitas was off in the first corner, but nearly too wide down the back straight as Ben Palmer tries to get a position. And look at this, Matt Bunn trying to take 2nd place back off Andy Shield, Sam.
Yeah, didn't quite work for him. Also very deep on the brakes was Pete Newman. Almost made contact. Oh dear, that's a lot of cars involved, and that's on the inside circuit. We might get a safety car here.
It's up to us to call it. What do you reckon?
I think it might well be, well, I'm not sure. It seems like the field now starts to spread out now.
It's tough to call. There are cases at Interlagos where it was almost impossible not to call it, and we did on that occasion. I think we were just about okay in my book. I'll take the flak for that one, I think. But yeah, that was a big one on the exit of turn 3. It looked like a lot of cold tyres, cars lighting up the rears after one of the biggest braking points on the circuit, and then not being able to.
And Newman. Oh, sorry. I thought they'd binned it, but no, they were just off the circuit.
Yeah, when they're just grass trekking, that's not really too much in the World GT Championship, is it? They're able to carry on despite going off at one of the quickest corners on the circuit. And Pete Newman's gone very wide in Canada corner. That's allowed Dennis Melcher through. Ford is having a fantastic opening lap here, and Newman's going to lose another place. He might even lose a further one to Ben Palmer here around the outside of the ultimate corner, and off goes his teammate. That's Chaz Draycott. Fortunately, he won't get hit by anybody. Oh, he will at the wall though. That's a shame. But what a pity for him as his teammate Newman continues to lose even more places for the final corner.
Yeah, great start from Mark Fletcher and Danes. Mangan up 11 places and crucially ahead of McFarlane. They are going to be catching up to these guys. Great progress. That's what I was talking about earlier on with the Thompson. And Fletcher's been put into the wall, the championship leader. And it wasn't a great race one for him, and that championship lead is quickly evaporating. How much damage does he have? He might be alright. He's just waiting to get back on the circuit. Oh no, that's loads of damage, and that's going to be Mark Fletcher's day over, or at least race 2 over. He's going to be starting from the back in race 3 as well. And the guy who hasn't had too many setbacks so far this season, that's going to be the championship gone from him for the time being, and that's going to be the first time he's lost the championship lead this season. So absolutely massive, that one. Newman is off the circuit as well down at turn 3. It's not too bad for him, but he has been overtaken by Underhill and Danes. Underhill driving well in his Nomad sim racing car, and Danes up 9 places so far. A little bit further ahead, here's Melcher and Palmer. Palmer goes to the outside.
Now, going on board with the plucky Ford. It's now got the might of the McLaren MP412C GT3 behind him. There's not much grip out there, Ben, so you may as well just get back in line astern. But you can see that the Sim Sports Racing USA car's in a hurry. Is he in so much of a hurry? He's going to get a move done into the kink. He is. And Dennis Melcher gets on the brakes a little bit early to allow the 007 car the number 2 car to get by. So that is Palmer up into 4th place now, 7 places gained. He's one of the biggest movers in the field so far. And also up the inside is that was almost after you there between Dennis Melcher and Fraser Smith, who now runs a bit wide on the exit and now allows his teammate Chris Daines to get by, and he really does. It's almost like Bricktech Simsport have adopted a livery from Brawn GP almost. With
I was just thinking that. That looks really nice though.
Remember, I had a Bugatti Veyron with a Brawn GP livery on a popular racing game a long time ago. Just throw that in there. Over the line.
I mean, it's a great livery. I mean, it should be absolutely everywhere. I suppose not more teams inspire themselves by it. Of course, that Honda livery, strangely, never quite caught on the Earth car, but the Brawn certainly did. Pete Newman then seemingly has kind of recouped now. He's stopped going backwards, although he has got a number of fast cars behind him. Here's Nicole Foggy. He's battling with George McClay, I guess that is. Those two were fighting, I believe, in race 1 as well. McClay was just a little bit behind Foggy on the most part. He had a very strong end to the race. Farlin is getting past Underhill, and then Daines is defending against Dennis Melcher at the moment. He's trying to come back at the rival. They've got 1.7 seconds up to Ben Palmer as well, who is really sprinting away. So they're already 8 seconds off the race leader, so you can just see how sparse the drivers ahead are, and then how in line all of these guys are.
You mentioned Pete Newman, just to touch a little bit on him. He is a dedicated racer. A couple seasons ago we were commentating on him racing in what is effectively now the ARLTC from a hospital bed. He was that desperate to get the points on the board. He did run his own team in that series as well, got a 1-2-3 with it.
I mean, that is like, how on earth do you do that? Do you just bring in a controller and
Sure.
did a bit?
I can't remember how he did it. I don't know if he had TeamViewer or something on his iPad or something. Not too sure, I have to say. But it's not.
Round is Newman now.
He's around now, and the Audi fortunately doesn't need to go to the sick bay. I think it should be able to carry on, but he's got to wait for everybody else to get by. And just when we were touching on him, his race goes from bad to worse. Here is the race 1 winner, Oscar Mangan, who, believe it or not, has not gained the most positions in the field. That is Josh Thompson, who has gained 29 places in the space of 6 minutes. I really can't work out how many overtakes that is a minute, but it is a lot as they come over the line. And Mangan, no, he has got a few battle scars on the front of his McLaren, so shows you he has been in the wars to get the overtakes done. But if you want to be a champion in this series, you have got to get your arms, roll your sleeves up and get involved. And Oscar Mangan looks like he's done just that in the early going, as Thompson puts in a new fastest lap. And just as I said, he'd gained 29 places, he's now gained 30, as the Audi is here, looking near enough pristine, trying to hunt down Fraser Smith, who is a further 4 seconds up the road.
Good job as well from Steve Burke, who I think was last of the runners, or last of the lead lap drivers in race 1. He's gained 18 places, doing a really good job at keeping it clean right there. But also Foggy seems to be a man on a mission, because I think Foggy's overtaken. Oh, well, now he's just been overtaken himself. There you go. He's trying to. No, he has just been overtaken. Yeah, so he got past McFarlane, which is no mean feat, and now McFarlane's just come back at him. They both want first dibs on the crack at Mangan. These are the front runners, of course, from race 1, all making their way through. Somehow they've all kind of got through absolutely fine. It just shows how these guys, they can just go through the middle of all the carnage and somehow just stay together with barely any damage on their cars. It is really a superb skill. Behind this, of course, is McClay and Underhill, keeping these guys honest. Nowhere for Foggy to go through the kink. That this is where the McLaren will probably struggle. It's got such a low grip rear end as the McLaren, and Foggy almost asking for permission to go down the inside, and McFarlane gave it him, And Foggy gets back past. Moves seem to be very easy for these two, and well, you might just see another one here through the final corner or through the penultimate corner. It's probably when you want to be behind Juraj rather than ahead, so you can just dip into the draft and get the momentum down this next straight. Unfortunately for them, they're losing touch with Mangan, who's probably the bigger enemy out of this, and Mangan might be able to clear both Melchert and Underhill basically.
Good lap by Ben Palmer. He got past Matt Bunn on that lap to move up into third place, and it's 2 overtakes there on poor Dennis Melchert, the Ford GT, engulfed down the front straight, and that is Harrod and Mangan up to 6th and 7th respectively. But look at this. It is the TechSense Fitstar Motorsport car, Ross McFarlane fighting back against Nicole Foggy. 2 Scots duking it out here through turn 2. And now here comes George McClay to make it a trio of Scotsmen fighting it out over 7th place. Now it's a drag race between, well, a slipstream fest between the McLaren and the 2 Mercedes. On the brakes, it looks like McFarlane's teammate is also fighting out. Well, I thought it was anyway. It's Oscar Mangan versus Pete Harrod fighting it out just in front of those guys. And then we've got these two at it again, and all of a sudden it looks like we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 car train. Just when the Sim Sports Racing USA car of Harrod and Mangan looked like they were off up the road, all of a sudden these guys are back on the rear end, but they do need to get past Dennis Melchert and sooner rather than later, and it looks like they're going to do that just now, Sam.
I was going to say Melchert was kind of letting them go there, completely missed the apex, and McFarlane gets past and crucially uses Melchert as also a little bit of a pick there, can pull away. Now Foggy's going to have the tricky decision, does he go for the move into the kink? We have seen a move into this corner so far. I think it was against Melchert as well, he wisely backed out of it. That was very early on in the race, and now Foggy should constantly get past. McClay will go through as well, you'd imagine. On the brakes, Melchert isn't really battling these guys. He's battling more like Simon Underhill, who's a little bit further back. And McClay couldn't get past, so again, he's going to lose time now. Closing up a little bit, well, I was about to say closing up the lead. It's still 1 second between the 2 leaders, Christian Reyes and Andy Shield. They are incredibly evenly matched right now. And then Palmer a bit further back, then it's Bunn, Danes, Mangan, and kind of this big battle starts as now McClay does finally get past the Ford GT. They're only 3 seconds ahead of Thompson now. He's still setting fast laps of the race, so they need to get a move on.
Yeah, Thompson putting in a purple sector on his last lap. He does a 2:06.7 on that one as he gains another place to move up 31 positions. In his sights is Simon Fields, who is currently sat in 13th place. Yeah, you're right about Dennis Melchert. As you can see from the timing tower, he's currently sitting 2nd in the Pro-Am category, so I think he would take that if the flag was to fall now. Well, unfortunately for him, there's still another 8.5 minutes to go, as here comes Josh Thompson and Simon Field. They're just lapping the Audi there of Adam Hedgecock in the Booster Simsport car. That green and white Merc, that is Fraser Smith in the Brittech Simsport car. Brittech Simsport, who did pretty well last season in their debut season in the World GT Championship. They'll be hoping for more this time, and with that livery, I'm sure that is going to be somewhere near the front in the not too distant future. It has been at the front at some points this season too. Fraser Smith currently sat here in 15th place. If the reverse grid for race 3 is in his favour, he could be near the sharp end for the final race of the day and try and get that Brittech Simsport team the winner's trophy. But at the moment, he's got an alright view of Josh Thompson trying to get past Simon Field. I don't think he's going to get that done.
Oh,
no!
gosh, Palmer!
Oh, it's another Sim Sports Racing USA car. The Kink has claimed another of their cars, and after it being Andy Shield and Pete Harrod in the walls in race 1, it is the turn of Ben Palmer, who was running in 3rd, to go out of the race. Oh.
He wasn't even fully committed to it. You could kind of see how he was just measuring it a bit, but then with this new tyre model, it's so slippery now on the grass, and you dip a wheel onto the grass and you go smashing into the wall. He's got a meatball. You only have to serve the meatball about 5 laps after you get the meatball, and I have exploited that at this very circuit, in fact. And it is a very long circuit, so you can really take advantage of it. I'm surprised he didn't just stay out because, well, now he's not going to be able to finish the race. He won't score any points, I believe, Palmer.
That is a massive shame for Ben Palmer, who had got into the podium positions had overtaken Matt Bunn, and he and Andy Shield were looking like they're going to have a fantastic race. But now that has all fallen apart as Josh Thompson gains another place. He is now up into 12th position. He's got past Simon Field, and of course with the demise of Ben Palmer, he's gained another place too. So that is 33 places gained for Thompson. This is quite some drive through the field. Next up is Simon Underhill, who is now trying to get past Dennis Melcher. Is he going to go the inside of the Ford? This is a fight for Pro-Am positions, let's not forget. So I think Melcher won't be as courteous to the Audi trying to get by here. And I think there might be a fight for third on our hands as Matt Bunn is up into third place. Chris Danes trying to get by at the inside. BMW versus Mercedes, saw this so often in the DTM. That's touring cars, but this is World GT cars, GT3 cars that raced in the Blancpain GT Championship way back in the day. These cars have long since retired, but they carry on racing on iRacing. The McLaren MP412C GT3, I think that's been well past its best, but who cares? We've got a fantastic battle on our hands here for the final spot on the podium, and right now it's Chris Danes that is on course to take home the bubbly here with 5 minutes to go.
And behind this, Foggy. So Foggy fell back behind Howard then. Oh, sorry, no, Howard was always ahead. So they've now all got past Howard. He is still very quick. But was a little bit out of position at the starts anyway. Hence why these race leaders from race 1 have all got past. Now Bunn just hasn't got the straight line speed in that BMW. You really do feel for him. He may well be freight trained right now. Has got a bit of a draft from the driver ahead, but Mangan will comfortably be ahead. And look at the run that Ross McFarlane has as well. He will put his car down the inside. Kind of hopes that Bunn will be quite courteous to him, but that's not the case for Matt, who does try to go around the outside a bit. Farlane with the inside once again. And Foggy wants to get down the inside as well, and he does do. And there's nothing that Bunn can do in this situation. You feel really bad for him because he's done absolutely nothing wrong in these last couple of corners. And yet, there's just no way of stopping these fast guys from getting through. Now Foggy's a bit boxed in, and McFarlane maybe wants Foggy to get boxed in so he can finally pull away. But here comes Bunn though, back down the inside of McFarlane. A big surprise right there for the Pitstop Motorsport driver. And maybe he was way too early on the brakes, maybe trying to scheme a bit too much. And Bunn does get past, and now Foggy is going to get past McFarlane as well. McFarlane's still there, and in fact he's still trying to get past Bunn. And now Bunn is going from attack to defence to attack to defence. And he's back on the attack again. McFarlane just about gets his whole car ahead. His spotter would have been letting him know about that. And Foggy gets past. Well, McFarlane though with an off. And he lets it all go again. All of that hard work. And he ends up behind Matt Bunn again. He's got to do it all over.
Oh, now that's the BMW at its best. For years on iRacing, it's been the slowest GT3 car in a straight line. And it just gets absolutely monstered by all the other GT3 cars. I've been in that situation that Matt Bunn's been in so many times before, but it is fantastic on the brakes, and he just sent it up the inside of Ross McFarlane, who clearly wasn't expecting that. And I think the red mist descended from McFarlane there, and it resulted in him going off just before the carousel. Up the inside goes the Renvale Pitstop Motorsport car of George McClay, but Harrod's just about going to keep his 8th place as we enter the final 3 minutes. But that was a fantastic scrap, and yeah, you've got to feel for Matt Bunn. The BMW in this latest build, it looks like it might have lost some of the superiority that it has had in recent iRacing seasons, but he soldiers on nonetheless, and a tip of the hat there to Matt Bunn for trying his hardest to keep the fast McLarens and the Mercedes at bay. He's now got Ross McFarlane trying to get by him for another time. Let's see if McFarlane can get it done this time into the first corner. He brakes fractionally later than the BMW, and this time he does. And I don't think he does go off again though. Oh no! Oh! Martin Bell stuff for Sam Fitzpatrick, who nearly sees one of his cars go off into the concrete wall.
Yeah,
and again he can't get by.
Yeah, I mean, will this be a attempt on Bunn? I mean, McFarlane is flashing his lights. I mean, I don't think there's too much to complain about Bunn. He was just trying to soldier on by himself, all side by side for third. This is Mangan versus Danes. Danes had an awesome start. Both of them have had awesome starts. Both of them have had awesome races. Mangan almost off the circuit, and he is getting held up a bit by Danes. He's got a little bit of time till Foggy is on them, 1.4 seconds back. So as long as he gets done by the end of this lap, he should be alright. We have got one more to go after this. McFarlane has got back past Bunn. And I think for his sanity, hopefully that is the last time he has to get past Bun until we, of course, have the reverse grid, where Bun will inevitably be starting ahead of him. So sure he's got plenty of practice. I say Mangan's got a bit of time to get past Danes. He's got to get on with it a bit because Foggy's already closed in by over half a second just on this lap. That's where the McLaren, like I said, isn't too strong. We've seen plenty of mistakes from the McLaren so far through there. Danes, does he have to go defensive into Canada? No. And it's 0.6 of a second now to Foggy, and Foggy might well be in the best place going on to the pit straight.
Yeah, I feel for Danes. I bet you wish that said 19 minutes and 55, not 18, because he's going to have to do another lap with probably the quickest car in the field right behind him. I bet he's quite happy that Nicole Foggy has arrived on the scene just to try and distract Oscar Mangan a little bit. He does run, I'm not sure what that was on the exit of the final corner. I think he's just trying to disturb the slipstream here, Chris Danes. I don't think now he's going to have to start trying to get the blockers out, because here comes Oscar Mangan. He's going to have to go the hard way round, which is as much as Chris Danes can do in this situation. But has the McLaren already got it
contacts.
done? Oh no, they've touched! And off goes Mangan, off into the gravel. Has he hit anything though? We'll see in a moment when he rejoins the circuit. He's going to be way down the order. He's down to 10th place, which is probably not too bad for him. But so challenging for a podium, that's not gone at all well. And it does keep Chris Danes in 3rd place for now, because here comes Nicole Foggy. Will he be able to get by without contact being made between the two as they go down the back straight on what is the final lap? Laid on the brakes. It's Danes on the inside, it's Foggy on the outside. And Chris Danes looks like he's going to be able to hold on for now anyway, because the next corner is a left-hander as well. Oh.
And contact again. I mean, the first time, Danes... It was ambitious to get down the inside, because like I was saying earlier on, it's a small braking zone, and he was pretty much an entire car length behind. I don't think man can complain too much. It may have even been a little bit of netcode as well involved. And just went off the circuit. Now Bun and McClay are side by side. This is 3 wide into the carousel, and they were always going serving.
Oh no!
And that's Josh Thompson, and that undoes some of his good work. And I desperately hope he still finishes in the top 20, because if he doesn't, that might put into jeopardy his chances of getting involved in the reverse grid. Still, they're battling for the last spot on the podium.
Yeah, now this is serious. There is some bubbly at stake here. On the brakes we go. Danes on the inside. Foggy slides it round the outside. He finds some grip somewhere. And I think he might have just got this done, you know, because the next corner is indeed a left-hander. There goes Nicole Foggy, one of the moves of the race meeting, I think we'll see there. And now here comes Ross McFarlane. Is he going to make it even worse for Chris Danes? Meanwhile, Christian Rose, he won at Silverstone. He wins here at Road America in race 2. Andy Shield takes 2nd place. It should be Nicole Foggy pulling off a dramatic late move to seal a spot on the podium. Great drive there, 20 places gained. Got a feel for Chris Danes though. It looked like he'd done enough. Oscar Mangan was in 10th when we last checked in on him. He was able to get 1 place between turn 1 and the final corner. Finish in 9th. Damage limitation there after the contact made in the final corner. Now look at this. This is John Roberts versus Pete Newman. Newman, who was at the front earlier, ended up sliding back down the field, and he's going to finish behind John Roberts. 2 Pro-Am drivers going at it, and who's that behind them in the Brittech car? That is Taylor Lane, the second highest AM driver, who's going to come across the line and take 25th overall. Crazy final few corners there, Sam.
Yeah, that was, and nice move, as you were saying before, from Nicole Foggy. Had to go the long way around Chris Danes. They made a little bit of contact, but good driving as well from Danes to just leave a little bit of room as well. Top of the Pro-Ams, in the end, none of them finishing in the top 7, but it was Matt Bunn, and how he deserved that one, because that was some great defensive driving, and in the end got 8th place from it. And and top of the amateur drivers was Steve Burke from 34th on the grid, 18 places gained for Steve Burke. Also, Thompson finished in 15th, so he should almost certainly be in the reverse grid and will probably be the favourite for race 3, I imagine, with the pace that he showed right there.
Great job by Christian Rose.
I think after the first 2 races, then Foggy must be highest scorer, 2 third places. I think Mangan would have been, saying that he won race 1, but Foggy just taking that away from him. And McFarlane finished second, didn't he, in race 1 and got 5th right there. So some good points being scored by these guys compared to, well, of course, Mark Fletcher. He's had a 10th and a DNF.
Indeed, so as Christian Rose heads back to the pits, we can bring you the finishing order. In race 1, it was a top 10 completely dominated by pro drivers, but Matt Bunn was able to get in there to stop that here in race 2. It is Christian Rose that wins, second for Andy Shield, and 10 seconds behind Nicole Foggy in that epic duel for the final spot on the podium with Danes and McFarlane. Pete Harrigan 6th, then George McClay 7th, Matt Bunn finishing in 8th, top Pro-Am driver. Oscar Mangan, the race 1 winner, finishing in 9th. Michael Abdoka in 10th. 11th for Simon Underhill, 12th for Fraser Smith, and Dennis Melcher in 13th place for doing well there. And Dan McCauley, Josh Thompson in 5th, Steve Burke, the top Am, in 16th, then Lewis Bibby, Ash Beard in 18th, 19th for Simon Field, and 20th Mark Woodhouse, 11th for Miguel Freitas, 21st for Miguel Freitas, 22nd for Rich Warmingham, then 23rd for John Roberts, then Pete Newman, Taylor Lane, Billy Fletcher there, 26th, Michael Abdoka follows him up, Mike Blake. Why am I seeing? I don't know why I'm seeing Abdoka on I was envisaging that. Apologies to Michael Blake, who finishes in 27th. Then Carl Hardy 28th, Lars Van Ryn 29th, and 30th Dean Timms. Then Chaz Draycott, Mike Corder, Adam Hedgecock 1 lap down. And then the cars that didn't finish the race: Stephen McCaffrey, Ben Palmer, Ethan Bass 36th, Mark Fletcher 37th, Harry Wills in 38th. And then there's more, 39th, John Aegis, then 40th, Mike Gray. 39th, Mike Gray, I should say. 40th, Ben Gregory, then Jorge Ordonez and his teammate Jose Malbran. John Aegis, the Maltese driver, 10 laps down in the end in 43rd. Kevin Burnham 44th. Not the best of race 2s for the Team Lizard Motorsport crew, with Draycott and Profer 45th and 46th. Carl Jacquelet also falling by the wayside. He finished in 47th as well. Many of those drivers probably getting involved in the mess we saw on the exit of turn 3, which is becoming quite a trouble spot for this series today. That's 2 races and 2 big incidents in that corner. Right then, it is time for the final reverse grid of the evening to set the grid for race 3. And we bring back in Sam Kumo, who dealt us a good hand at the end of race 1 with giving us 25 cars reversed. Let's see if we can go any higher than that for race 3.
Yeah, let's see. That was definitely some aggression zone by Chris Danes there, and I think if we get the big one, it's gonna be more of that, I think. And it could be a big one. Very close. 20.
Nearly. So 20 is Mark Woodhouse for Team Mad. He's going to be on the pole position. In fact, it's Pro-Am 1, 2, 3 with Simon Field starting in 2nd, Lewis Ashbeard in 3rd, and then Lewis Bibby 4th, Steve Burke in 5th. But Josh Thompson, though, Sam, silver lining from his spin on the final lap, he will now be starting 6th one, and he won't be having to make as many places up, get to the front as he did race 2, for his sake anyway.
Yeah, so he'll be race young. Lewis Bibby as well, I'm sure will be fancying his chance. Of course, retired from race 1, did Bibby good drive in race 2. But we know he's probably in the top 10 fastest drivers out on circuit. So yeah, certainly those 2 big favourites. And also Steve Burke within that reverse grid. Only amateur driver within the reverse grid. So it didn't work out well for Michael Blake in race 2, to be fair, but good opportunity for Burke to score some points as well.
Nice, so we are going to take a short break here on the iRacing Esports Network, but do stay with us, because when we come back we'll be on the grid getting set for the final race of the day here at Road America. It is usually a cracker, so you don't want to miss it. So join us after the break here. We'll be back in the World GT Championship. Welcome back to the iRacing Esports Network, and welcome back to Road America, where we're getting set for the final race of the day in the World GT Championship. We've had 2 brilliant races so far. Race 1 saw Oscar Mangan take a pretty routine victory. Race 2 saw something similar for Christian Rose. It wasn't by that much, but behind him it was a fierce scrap for every other position, including a fantastic last lap scrap for the 3rd place, final spot on the podium, which was ultimately won by Nicole Foggy after a pretty decent move around the outside of Canada corner and then up the inside into the penultimate turn to break Chris Dainshart, who was on course for that final spot in 3rd, but he was overtaken there and finished in 4th place in the end. But this time we've got 20 cars reversed for the final race, and Sam Fitzpatrick, that provides opportunity for a few more drivers to get on the podium or get a much needed win, like Josh Thompson, for example, who failed to finish in race 1, had a late race spin in race 2, and is now towards the front for race 3.
Yeah, I think it was Lewis Bibby as well, wasn't it? Another one of the front runners who had a good chance. And we did see the front runners from race 2 as well. They kind of were able to hold on to that lead when they were out of position. So they're certainly going to be the favourites, Bibby and Thompson. We'll go through the grid in a little bit, but of course also who's going to score the most points today? It's safe to say it's not going to be Bibby or Thompson. It would take something exceptional for that to be the case, but so far Foggy with 2 podium places, 2 third places. That's mega impressive, especially seeing that he's arguably been outpaced by the McLaren so far. McFarlane with a good day, still could get some good points, could Mangan after a race win, of course, in race 1, so plenty at stake for race 3 of the evening.
Indeed, it is going to be probably one of the most interesting races of the evening so far. Just take a look at that top 12. We've got all 3 classes mixed into one there, with Pro-Ams, AMs and Pros all in amongst it. As always, we've got 4 pace laps, so let's run you through the grid. It's Mark Whithouse on the pole with Simon Field in 2nd, Ash Beard and Lewis Bibby on row 2, and then it's Steve Burke, the highest AM driver in the field, with Josh Thompson in 6th. Keep an eye on him at the start. Dan McCauley in 7th, car 888 Dennis Melcher in his Ford in 8th, Fraser Smith 9th, Simon Underhill starts in 10th. 11th for Michael Evdoka, Oscar Mangan, who could have been on the podium himself if it wasn't for some late race contacts, starting in 12th. Matt Blunt in 13th, and George McClay, Pete Harrod, Ross McFarlane completing row 8. Then Chris Daines, Nicole Foggy, Andy Shield and Christian Rose completing the top 20. Then it's Miguel Freitas, Rich Warmingham, 2 Pro-Ams there with John Roberts and Pete Newman, 23rd and 24th respectively. 25th on the grid, Taylor Lane, then Billy Fletcher, Michael Blake, Carl Hardy, Lars Van Ryn in 29th, and Dean Timms in 30th. 31st, Chaz Draycott, we saw him off and hitting the wall early on in race 2. Then it's Adam Hedgecott behind Mike Horder, and then Stephen McCaffrey, Ben Palmer, Ethan Bass in 36th, then 37th Mark Fletcher, Harry Wills, Mike Gray, Ben Gregory, the 2 fiercely forward teammates Ordonez and Malbran, and then Boland, Matt Draycott and Niall Crofer completing the now 45 field. Lost another one for race 3. It's quite remarkable really, after it's my 7th year on the iRacing service. Before the new time model coming out, it was almost imperative that you didn't warm up the tyres on the warm-up lap, and they really discouraged any weaving about, but now you've got to. And at a track like Road America, where on most of the calendar it is a pretty short pace lap, here you've got a full pace lap to warm up the tyres, Sam, so I think everybody is making the most of that opportunity to get some temperatures built in on this warm-up lap that we've got coming up now.
Yeah, they are, and it's a different kind of policy being taken by some of the drivers, though. Some are really weaving a whole lot. You can see Lewis Bibby, though, not quite so much. So, yeah, drivers finding it different levels of importance. Like I said earlier on, it's not the worst track for the lack of warming up tyres. Watkins Glen is absolutely awful. Also had a race at Kota yesterday in the in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. That was in the GTE cars. And just through turn 2 at Circuit of the Americas, drivers just spun round, and that's an easy flat corner, usually middle of the circuit, and they just dropped it straight away on the start, and it caused absolute chaos. So fortunately around here we haven't seen any spins by the drivers through turns 1 and turns 2, but still very helpful if you can get grip straight away at the start of the race. Of course, Woodhouse starting from the front. We've seen pole position really useful so far today. Of course, you're going to be susceptible to the overtake into 3, but into 1, usually your jump is good enough to make you clear. But the BMW is so slowed down the straights. I wonder if that's going to be put into question, and if Woodhouse isn't careful, he could be down to 4th or 5th place by the time they do reach the middle part of the circuit.
I think the saving grace of Woodhouse as opposed to Matt Bunn in race 2 is that the furthest away the highest McLaren is Oscar Mangan in 12th. So I don't think he's going to be making any moves for the lead into the first corner. I don't know, stranger things have happened, but Mark Woodhouse coming into Canada corner now. We've seen in race 1 and race 2 the pole sitter pretty much put the foot down on the ascent up the hill, which probably makes sense, but I wonder if we might see something different this time. I guess it's not really advisable to wait to put your foot down until after you go up the hill, because people going up it behind you will have no idea that you still haven't accelerated away and could lead to a pretty interesting start. But let's find out. Here we go. Cars coming through the final corner, getting set for the third and final race of the day in the World GT Championship. Mark Woodhouse and Simon Field. That is your front row. It is BMW and Mercedes, and away goes Mark Woodhouse now. He tries to catch Simon Field napping with a bit of a late weave, and then going now. Green lights are on, and the third and final race of the day in the World GT Championship is underway here at Road America. It's, as you were, Woodhouse and Field, but as anybody's guess after that, it's nearly 3 wide as Bibby, Beard and Burke go at it for P2. Watch out for Dennis Melcher in his white Ford as well, and the fast-starting McLarens too. And a great opportunity for Team Lizard Motorsport to get some points on the board. Steve Burke looking up the inside, but that now leaves him open to attack from Josh Thompson, who is now going to start moving up the order. Problem for McCaffrey, he's already returned back to the pits. That's a shame for the BMW, but here they all come down the front straight, down the back straight, Sam.
Yeah, there was a couple of problems there. John Roberts as well, I think, was the first driver to get involved. Bibby down the inside. Oh, it's very chaotic into 3. Thompson gets through. Who was that just fine? That was Macaulay. He was going in really deep and just got the car stopped. As Macaulay pretty much where he started at the moment. He's going side by side with Steve Burke, and Burke does win out on that one. Mangan, great start for Oscar Mangan. I think up 4 places. Matt Bunn off the circuit after his heroics in race 1, starting in a decent place as well. I think he was about 12th place on the grid, but he's starting. He's straight away further down the order. Already 4 cars back to the pits, and Mark Fletcher was involved in that crash as well. So Fletcher having a miserable round, 10th and 2, retiring twice in 2 and 3. And so that's going to be barely any points. He'll be hoping that will just be a drop round for him. But Lewis Bibby has made the progress that he needed to, and he's only got 1 more car to pass in order to take the lead. You can just see Thompson a little bit further back, trying to get past the year 1 car of Ashley Beard, and he is past. He knows he's got to stay in touch with Bibby in these opening stages.
That's Thompson back up to where he started. Oh, massive wobble over the top of the hill there. I think he'll either touch the exit curve or the entry curve going into the penultimate corner. But back onto the front straight we go. 4 cars are already in the pit lanes. Timms, McCaffrey, Fletcher and Boland. So their evenings are pretty much over. They might take the fast repair and come back out onto the circuit, but even then they'll be way down the order. So it's Woodhouse, Bibby and Fields and Thompson. And great to see that BMW has led the opening lap here, which hopefully bodes well for the rest of the race. See if the BMW can keep the rest of the field at bay. Then it's Beard, Burke, Mangan up 5 places to 7th. Underhill in 8th, 9th Macaulay, 10th Melcher. I think Oscar Mangan is trying to get another place. Dennis Melcher tries to get past Dan Macaulay, who puts some resolute defence here on the second lap. Melcher trying to get past the Scotsman and take 9th place back, and he flashes the lights as they go onto the back straight. This is all part of a massive train, which includes Michael Evdoka in the Texense Fitzai Motorsport car, and Oscar Mangan just in the foreground of that shot has got past Steve Burke and is up into 6th place. Position changes left, right and centre as they get on the brakes into turn 3. There's Evdoka and Nicole Foggy scrapping away. Those two know each other well.
Yeah, McFarlane as well. Foggy and McFarlane could are fighting kind of for the points win in today's race. However, Foggy doing a great job against Avdoka, almost quarter-paneling there. But good job from Avdoka just to back out of that one to avoid contact. Woodhouse doing well, isn't he, to hold on to the lead, and Thompson is up into third. Bibby would have been really hoping he could just get past straight away, and all of a sudden now Thompson right on his tail, and he's got to be looking as much in his mirrors as he's got to be looking ahead. Has he got a good run? Do the King cannot afford to dip a wheel onto the grass, otherwise you're very possibly going to spin the car around. As I say that, actually Beard goes wide. I do that. Biddy Fletcher and Pete Newman are dropping down the aisle. I think they've binned it at the Kink. There they are. And going back to the pits, in fact, was one of them. Oh no, this is before the. Oh, that's a weird place, isn't it?
That's the alternate layout, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the chicane that they're off at. Meanwhile, the fight for the lead, Josh Thompson is going to take second place away from Bibby. All of a sudden, he's just emerged out of nowhere, Josh Thompson, and he could theoretically be in the lead in the not too distant future. We'll see how much of a defence these guys can put up as they come across the line. Fastest lap of the race by Thompson, 2:06.2. Bibby and Woodhouse have now got to try and work together somehow, or maybe Bibby try and defend and allow Woodhouse to get up the road to make sure that Thompson can't get by as quickly as he would like to as they go onto the back straight.
Bibby in. Oh no, he was too close, and now there's nowhere for Thompson to go. Or is there? He's going to go straight through the middle. Breathe in, guys, because there's not a lot of space. Thompson has got through, and that was unlucky for Bibby. Had to get on the brakes, and now they nearly make contact. Woodhouse is not giving up.
Oh, he's not going to make the corner, surely. Somehow he does. Wow.
And getting past as well was Bibby. That was great from Thompson. That was scary stuff. Bibby just left a car's width, and this is one of the narrowest circuits we visit all season long. But well, tell Josh Thompson that.
The way he went to the inside there, I thought he was bailing out, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm not going to make it." But he was able to get to the apex, and credit to him. He's now in the lead. Bibby into second, you're right, and Mark Woodhouse, after leading the first 2 laps, is now down to third. Let's see how he can defend against Simon Field, who is approaching now in his Mercedes. Year 1's Ash Beard in 5th place too. Has got Oscar Mangan for company, so 2 battles to watch out for that will unfold over the next few laps. And I wonder how quickly Josh Thompson will pull away. Here's an early indication for you. He's already got a 1.6 second lead. Thompson checking out here on the 3rd lap of the race.
Yeah, absolute domination. Nothing that Bibby can do about that. And Thompson, I think, is well on course for a race win, which he thoroughly deserves. And it's been a tricky season for him. Still around in the championship though to make up those points. Here comes Oscar Mangan, and he is going to be stripped past Ashley Beard. Next up for him will be Simon Field. Credit to Simon Field, he's doing an awesome job in 4th place, keeping up as well with the couple of drivers ahead of him. Top of the Pro-Ams. So apologies, Woodhouse is still at the top of the Pro-Ams. But Field is second, at least, out of that category. Top of the amateur drivers, Steve Burke. Started in 5th, still in 7th. Nice job.
Simon Field driving for Boosted Motorsport, who are the top Pro-Am team in the team's championship. So if you can hold on for this 4th place, or maybe even better, overtake Mark Woodhouse to be the top Pro-Am driver, that will continue to help consolidate their position as top of the tree in that fight. And he's got the BMW right where it needs to be at the moment. He is just 0.3 of a second ahead, and here's an overtake. That is Steve Burke going off back on the circuit, but as a result of that, Simon Underhill has got by. So the Audi is up into 7th. Steve Burke in the Team Lizard card that was looking pretty racy early on, and now dropping back down to
and Underhill just making a gap then straight away from the Team Lizard car. And Macaulay, who's kind of always been there or thereabouts so far, as Dan today. McClay as well involved, and McFarlane, Foggy. Those three have been stuck together as well. Getting a lot of pace, by the way, Ben Palmer, after, of course, his incident in race 2. That's very wide was Foggy. There is Palmer. Good recovery, up 14 places. Harry Wills as well, up 13 places. Nice job from the 955 car. As Christian Rose has had a tricky day. He's going to try to get past Dennis Melcher. I think he dropped it at the kink actually in race 1. And since then it's just trying to come back to a position where he really should be. Melcher's had an awesome day in his Ford. Really driving the wheels off that thing. Just behind them though, they got to be careful from Palmer. And it might be the McLaren who's got the best opportunity. He's got a slipstream on the pair of them now. Problem is there any gap past them? Might even be bump drafting. And they are. The Fords going an extra few kilometers an hour. I still think he's going to be boxed in though, is Palmer, so it's not going to work brilliantly for him, but and Rose does have to back out of that, so Palmer just gets ahead. Meanwhile, Oscar Mangan, great drive so far. He's up into 3rd position, winner of race 1, and a late incident in race 2. As also Mike Horder has had an issue, and Michael Blake as well. Blake, one of the highest scoring amateur drivers so far today, and there he is. And they've had a high speed incident. Blake needs to hold the brakes. I don't really think there's any point in continuing on in the race, to be honest, because that BMW looks heavily damaged, and there he goes. And now you'll see a replay on your screens of how this happened to Horder. And after that incident then, yeah, both of those guys in big trouble. Horder as well, leader of the Pro-Am drivers, going into this round of the championship. So not what he needed at all. Meanwhile, Mangan's coming under a little bit more pressure from Mark Woodhouse. Maybe he's all right, actually, to be fair. He has fallen a bit of a gap. Got 1.6 seconds to catch up to Bibby. Could be possible for Mangan. Still the highest point scorer at stake. Going into this race, going into race 3, Foggy was the highest scorer. But Mangan quite a few places up ahead of him at the moment. Then we've got a nice battle right now for him behind Ashley Beard. So Beard running in 6th place. Then we've got 8 tenths back to Underhill. Foggy's just got past Steve Burke. That's the battle for 8th place. And he is next up on his target is Simon Underhill. McClay can't go with him, or can he? Down the inside, that's a very tight line for McClay. And that perhaps wasn't the smartest move from George McClay. But it might work for him. That was very generous from Steve Burke just to leave him a bit of space. And he leaves him space as well into turn 2. Wise thing to do. But that was a mega tight line into the fast turn 1. If you take a tight line through there, you're making the corner so acute for yourself. You're going to have to slow down to such an extent. And now McFarlane wants to take benefits from this. Abdoka using a little bit of track with them, but he'll be right with them after this turn 3. Burke on the outside, and McFarlane's going to go down the inside of the pair of them. Burke is going to lose out as well to another driver, but McFarlane's got the inside on Foggy. Apologies, this is McFarlane trying to get past George McClay. And Macaulay managed to take advantage of that as well. Awful couple of corners for Steve Burke. He's still losing places to Harrod now. Oh, so unfortunate for Steve Burke. I think he is still leading the amateur category at least. But that's one of the few things he can still hang on to, because he's just been freight trained around this middle part of the circuit offline. And there's been barely anything the Team Lizard driver can do ever since. He is on the inside into the kink, side by side with his rival. Does back out to it, does Steve Burke. Chris Daines gets ahead, and now Smith and Shield. Remember Andy Shield? So quick in race 1, crashed at the kink. And he was another one who I think who got involved in a crash in race 2. Just trying to recover as many points as he can. Long championship this, they do get 2 drop rounds. I believe 12 rounds. And so whilst you might have it in the back of your mind that this might be a drop regardless, you still want to make it as good as possible just in case it does count, in case the worst does come to happen. Just like at Mark Fletcher today, 2 retirees for the former championship leader. Shield using that straight line speed of the McLaren 12C. and should be easy enough into turn 1. For second place, in fact, it's all gone red on our timing screens because the battle's really tightening up. Lewis Bibby, only 1/10 of a second ahead of Oscar Mangan. They can afford to fight a bit, and they should stay in second and third to the end of the race. However, Bibby, probably thinking wise, Mangan up into second place. And trying to repeat that first place from earlier on. He's got 6 seconds to catch up to Thompson. That's not going to happen. But nice job from Oscar Mangan in this race. Nico Foggy's got past Ashley Beard now. As Dan McCauley's had an off. There he is, spinning off at turn 3 from 11th place, and he was about 5th place out of the Pro-Ams as well. He's dropped outside the top 20 because of this. And there it was a shove from, is it a dog curb perhaps? I can only imagine it was. Yeah, it was. So he's now got to catch up to his teammate ahead, who's Renville teammates of George McClay. Just ahead. McClay's had a little bit of a tricky lap. Dropped places to McFarlane and McCauley. Now going defensive is Mark Woodhouse, defending from Simon Fields. Goes wide does the BMW driver, and he is a sitting duck seemingly, with Foggy quickly arriving on the scene. Chaz Jaycott having an issue, and he's another casualty at the kink. Hard into the wall as well. He might be able to just coast that car around to the finish. Like I said earlier on, you don't have to serve the meatballs, really, because there's very few laps in these very quick races. Even if you have got damage, you can still finish the race on the lead lap. But of course, it can be tricky just to manhandle that car round the circuit. Woodhouse is still in 4th, however, Foggy has got past Field now. So one more car to get past, then he'll be into 4th, which I think would be the points he needs to finish the points highest scorer today. After 2 third places, I'd love for him to get a third place. That'd be incredible, wouldn't it? If he could do that. I don't think anyone has probably ever finished in the same place 3 times in this series. Even first place, probably never been done. And there he goes, he's up into 4th. So the OCD mission is on course. He's got 5 seconds to catch up to Bibby. I think he's going to need to rely on a mistake from Lewis Bibby to have any chance. And off the circuit is Ashley Beard, one of the top Pro-Am drivers. And Ross McFarlane as well, I'm seeing, is off the circuit. McFarlane, second highest score going into this round, and there he is, off the circuit, throwing up some gravel. And he's dropped to 11th because of that. Just set his personal best lap time of the race. Was making good progress as far as McFarlane, up into 9th, and a top at least 7 was on the cards. And because of that, he is dropped a bit further down. Here's Ashley Beard after that incident he's just had. Down 11 places from his start. Steve Burke, how these two have had troublesome races. To be fair to Burke, though, ever since he got overtaken by about 8 cars in 5 corners, he's been a bit more consistent. And now he wants to get past Ashley Beard. Here he goes. On the inside, Pro-Am versus Amateur. It's also side-by-side behind them. And the Team Lizard car does get past. Behind them, like I was saying, Fraser Smith gets him past Richard Warmingham. Haven't seen too much of Warmingham after, I believe, a 7th place finish in race 1. And also Ben Palmer. He's been rapidly gaining some places. 17 places gained now for Palmer. And we know that McLaren is quick down the straights. It's a passing machine. And Ben Palmer is a passing machine in this race as well. Simple into turn 1. And just ahead, year 1, trying to get back past Team Lizard. Half a chance for Ashley Beard, who I believe won on Wednesday in the Sim Racers World GT Championship. You can check that one out on Wednesday again this week at Zolder, one of the staples of the circuit of the series. And we'll be back on there. That'll be on the iRacing Esports Network and on Apex Racing TV, of course. Steve Burke, once again having to defend, and we see the same issue. Unless it's Josh Thompson, it doesn't seem like he can go 3 wide down this area. And look at how slow they were on the corner, and from absolutely nowhere, Ben Palmer saying, "Thank you very much, I'll take a bit of that." and he gained a place. I think it was Fraser Smith who got horribly slowed down on the apex, and Palmer gets one. Now he's got his sights set on the next one. Tries to go for the dummy, too wise for that one was his opponent. And there's now side by side, there's not really a whole lot you can do here. Palmer, although he does wedge his car down the inside, and well, now the tides have turned. It's not much for the 23 car of Steve Burke to do in retaliation. Side by side into the kink, we have to kind of look away in this situation. Palmer does the wise thing, backs out of it. And if you're not attacked, well, these guys are fighting so much that whoever's kind of fourth in line is just catching up, and Richard Warming's now catching up. Really battle. This is the closest battle out on circuit, by the way, hence why we're not looking at anything further up the order. And Steve Burke has come back once again, and Palmer, again, another place. He's just picking them off one by one. Really tight for 5th place, by the way, between Woodhouse and Field. Might have to just draw ourselves away from this as we move on to what I believe will be the last lap of the race. It is the last lap of the race. And Woodhouse has been defending for a while against Field, and he's done the same there. However, the Mercedes might have one last attempt in a moment. They've got Underhill, McClay, Evdotka and Howard all catching up. Did I say even McFarlane will be on the back of these guys by the end of the lap. Field 3/10 of a second behind. Not really gaining as much as we thought that AMG would. And he is deeper on the brakes, but didn't pull out. And Woodhouse is doing enough at the moment. Behind them, Palmer and Burke having an absolutely epic battle. It's still really close in that big pack of drivers. Palmer has got past though. They're side by side for a couple of corners. And Palmer has is clear of the team Lizard car. Harry Wills, shame to see him. So back to the pits. After, of course, gaining many places early on. Mike Gray is off the circuit from 23rd. Gained 16 places. However, he's lost a lot of them there, and he's going to lose a few more along with his bonnet. Right there. Shame end to the race for him. Well, we haven't really seen a tight battle for the race win today. Every single one of them has been quite serene. Josh Thompson had to make the moves early on. He has been absolutely phenomenal. He deserves a lot more points than he's going to get from today. However, he's done everything he could do in this race 3. Josh Thompson at Road America is going to take the race victory. Race 3 is all his. Oscar Mangan is going to finish in 2nd place. And dare I say, might be the points highest scorer today. That is not confirmed, but still, great day for Oscar Mangan. Pole position in race 1, and it's say pretty good apart from that late mistake in race 2, or late incident in race 2. Foggy finishes in 4th, 3rd and 4th for him. Woodhouse holds off Field. Finished top of the Pro-Am drives. Great performance from Woodhouse, great performance from Field as well. Also, Nomad, sorry, that's not Nomad, that's CQR closing in. Dan McCauley trying to, or Christian Ray's apologies, trying to get past Richard Warman on the run to the line. Did not happen. Palmer did finish top of that little battle, and Burke beat Beard as well. So that was a great little tussle amongst those guys. It would be great to get the onboard footage of that race, because that was really close in the closing stages. So top of the pros then, Josh Thompson, top of the Pro-Ams. Mark Woodhouse in 5th overall, and top of the amateur drivers, it was Steve Burke. So despite a little bit of a shuffling down, that starting place for Burke really helped out, and he must be the top highest scoring amateur driver. And Burke was really lonely as well in race 1. He was like miles away from the rest of the field. Not down to pace, just down to a couple of incidents. But great drive through the field in race 2. And when you do that, you get within the reverse grid for race 3, and then race 3 can be quite simple for you. He's absolutely exhibited that right there, has the Team Lizard driver. So drivers just doing their one last tour of the circuit, coming back into the pits, and we can go through the finishing order then for this race 3 of the evening. Josh Thompson wins out 8.3 seconds clear of Oscar Mangan. Even when Mangan got into 2nd place, he still dropped time to Thompson. But still, great result from Mangan. Bibby held on to 3rd place ahead of Nicole Foggy. It wasn't the 333 in the end for Foggy, but still 3rd and 4th. He'll be pleased with that. Mark Woodhouse From pole position, finished in 5th place, top of the Pro-Am drivers. Simon Field, great result for him in 6th. Then was Simon Underhill in 7th. Good day overall for Underhill. There was George McClay, Michael Docker, Keith Howard rounding out the top 10. Ross McFarlane was involved in a little bit of a collision, but still, that's I guess that's 3 top 11s for McFarlane. 2nd place in race 1, and I think it was like a 5th in race 2, 11th in race 3, capping off a good day at the office. Chris Daines finishes in 12th. There's Andy Shield. Great drive for Ben Palmer, 21 places gained. Steve Burke, top of the amateur drivers. There's Ashley Beard, Richard Warmingham, Christian Rose, Dan McCauley, Fraser Smith, Billy Fletcher, Matt Bunn, Adam Hedgecock, Dennis Melchert, Jose Morbrun, Lars Van Rijn, Matt Draycott, Jorge Villegas, Carl Hardy, Ethan Bass, Niall Crowther, Mike Horder, John Roberts was the last driver, one lap on the lead lap, apologies. 1 lap down was Mike Gray and Harry Wills. And then the retirees were Chaz Draycott, Michael Blake, Taylor Lane, Miguel Freitas, Pete Newman, Dean Timms, Stephen McCaffrey, Mark Fletcher, Ben Gregory, and Kevin Bowles. So this is the time that we usually get some interviews, and we're very pleased to say that we're going to get an interview straight away with Chaslington himself. It's Chaz Draycott in the commentary booth with us. Welcome, Chaz. Take us through your evening then. I mean, how was the racing today at Road America?
Feisty is the word I've been using a lot recently, and lively. It's a bit of a tough one. I did my usual where I bottled it all night. Qualifying wasn't great, but I was happier to be sort of in the mid-pack. Race 1 went well, 17th or 18th. I've been saying it all night on stream that I cannot remember where the hell I finished in that one. But it was in the top 20, which is what I wanted. Second race was like 31st, I think. I made a mistake at the kink, put it in the wall, but it didn't give me a meatball, which I was very surprised at because I absolutely battered the wall. And then, yeah, third race then, did the same again. Changed up to 6th going in the kink, made a stupid mistake, and because I was in 6th rather than 5th, the engine braking didn't slow me down when I lifted as much as I needed it to, and put a wheel on the grass, and it became very good friends with the wall.
We saw quite a few collisions at the kink, just drivers going off by themselves. When you went off, was there anything different that you did? Was there just a mistake that you were making along with the other drivers, or was it completely by surprise that you just lost the car?
The first time, in the second race, I wasn't sure quite what I did. I think I just put a wheel on the grass. The second one was definitely down to what gear I was in, because like I say, I've been doing it in 5th all night, and then I just thought, I'll play it safe, put it in 6th, not thinking about the fact that, you know, you get less engine braking when you're in 6th, so when I lifted, it just didn't slow down as much, and when I did get back on the throttle to try and bring it around a little bit, it was already on the grass, and yeah, that wall became suddenly very inviting.
The final race had a track temperature of 41 degrees, I'm looking at. I mean, how did the grip change? And would you say the difference in the grip between the high temperatures and the low temperatures, is that more affected now with these new tyres, or is it slightly less of an effect?
The Audi's got this weird characteristic about it, where on your outlap it feels really grippy at the front end. It's really strange, because you go out there and you think, oh, there's loads of grip, and then you get onto your fast lap when the tyres have heated up a bit, and it just feels, it's still the oversteery beast that it always was. But over the course of a race, I didn't really feel it changed that much, to be honest with you. It felt alright most of the way through.
Next up, we've got a break week. Of course, there's not a whole lot to do nowadays.
No.
Although I guess your work is still, also, you can probably get on with some of your Chaslington stuff now that you got a bit more free time. But I mean, what's are you going to do for the next week? Are you going to do some practice for the next round of the championship, or do you tend to use these break weeks as just a time to let it cool off a bit?
I don't know really. I've got a couple of streams and things that I'm doing on Twitch recently, so I'll probably do one of them next Monday night. As for the rest of this week, I've got 2 broadcasts coming up, both for Sim Racers World, so that's going to keep me busy. But yeah, on and off throughout the week though. My girlfriend's moved back up from London recently, so we obviously spend a bit more time together, so it's just sort of keeping a balance of that, and got to keep her happy, haven't I?
Of course, absolutely. I'm sure she'll be happy with your performance today. Certainly great qualifying, and then decent results as well. Thanks for having a chat with us, Chaz. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before you let you go?
The guys from CQR, as always, the amount of support they give me, despite the banter and telling me just to get good whenever I crash, they do help me out a lot, give me good setups and everything. So I honestly can't thank them enough for how long I've managed to have them put up with me. Everyone that supports Chaslington and the streams and everything, I actually announced on the website today I'm going to do a rebrand soon, so the name will not be about that much longer, unfortunately, but needs must. And everyone that's doing their bit for sim racing while the whole coronavirus thing's got the world in a chokehold, because honestly, the guys that have come forward and come out of the woodwork or even just got involved with it to make sim racing as big as it is right now for everybody and in the public eye, it's been amazing to watch, and I'm so proud of everyone that's done it.
Very well said, Chaz. Thanks for having a chat with us, and best of luck for when we see you back on Apex Racing TV.
Yes, thank you very much, boys. Have a good night.
You too, Chaz.
Adam Bath is back with us now, which very happy to say. So, Adam, who would you like to have a chat with?
Shall we get a word with our race winner, Josh Thompson, now that he's in here? Let's get him up for a quick word. Here he is. I hope we got him. Josh Thompson, welcome. Well done on the win. The evening kind of got better as it went along, really. A non-finish in race 1. Race 2, things were looking good until a late spin, but that in itself helped you get towards the front of the grid for race 3, and then once you got the lead there, you're able to carry on and get a well-deserved win in that final race.
Yeah, to be honest, it couldn't have gotten much worse after qualifying. Yeah, the car on paper should have poled it, I reckon, but I had an issue in qualifying with another car, which caused the car to be meatballed, so I had to start last in race 1. And yeah, straight from then onwards, it was always going to be an uphill battle tonight. So yeah, to get the win in race 3 kind of showed what I had in the car, because I really couldn't show that in race 2 because I had damage and with all the collisions and stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of happy I managed to show what the car has.
Was it a big decision for you to leave the BMW to go to the Audi, or were the early signs from the latest build and that the BMW had lost quite a lot of what it had in previous seasons?
Yeah, see, before the build, it was absolutely fine. I was dialed in perfectly. Interlagos, I really struggled. I wasn't on my A game. You saw I made mistakes, and like uncharacteristic mistakes, I'd say I made in that car. Silverstone, I won the race at Silverstone with the car, but I tested it. I was supposed to swap to the Audi for that race as well, but I left it too late. And yeah, then this week I tried both cars, and I was like 1.5 seconds faster than the Audi. So to me, it was a no-brainer. I've done so much with Williams the last few weeks of it, so it just made perfect sense to go with it.
And was it worth taking? How much a point penalty was it to switch from the?
It's only 100.
Only 100.
It's
So
only 100. The season before, it used to be 150, 200. Back when I did it with the BMW. So it's not a huge point. You can make it up over the season still.
yeah, in fact, I was just taking a look at the points to see. I was just taking a look at the points to see whereabouts you are now as a result of it.
Hello.
Well, you're 19th. You've gained 2 places. You're only 378 points off the top. But we do have a week off next week. But after that, we're at Monza, and that should be a track that will suit the Audi quite well. But then you've got the McLarens and the Mercedes also going at it.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle, I think, there. We struggled there in Neo a few months back. Obviously, the time model and the car, I think we found something in the car, which is quite handy. But today, the Maccas and the Mercs were 4-5Ks fast at the end of a straight. So I've got to deal with that again at a track what's all straight line. So hopefully we can do what I did with the BMW and just have as much downforce on it as possible and try and make up in the corners.
Would you, even with the opportunity to switch to the McLaren, would you still prefer to race in the Audi than that?
Yeah, I think the Macca's a horrible car. End of story.
There we go. Oh, there you go. Monza is a track. Yeah, Monza is a track though. Is that one that you'll enjoy racing around it? We had a lot of slipstreaming here today. We'll probably have more of that in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, definitely. Season 5, I probably had one of the best races in my entire iRacing life and career with Janssen and Setsas there. So yeah, but hopefully can have that again. I'll really enjoy the meeting.
Cool. Well, I'll give you one good stat before you go. You are top of the laps led pile for this season.
Somehow.
96. You just got to. I think you've just got to leave 4 more, and I think you've clicked over the century. But before we let you go, Josh, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Yeah, so you guys are doing the broadcast as always. Great to see it's not having any issues now with all the iRacing issues that's happening at the moment with the C-Bar, which is good. All the admins at World GT, Craig's Help Shop, Williams Esports and all sponsors, so Razor, Chill Blast, BenQ, Playseat, Fanatec, HE, One All Sports.
There you go, well done for ticking them off, and well done on the win today. It was good to see you progress through the field. I think until that incident in race 2, I think you'd gained 30 plus places. But yeah, well done on the win in race 3, and all the best, and we'll hopefully speak to you again in 2 weeks' time at Monza.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Josh Thompson there. Right, we've got time for one more interview, Sam, so take your pick of Adam Hedgecock or your colleague.
I mean,
Ross McFarlane.
I might actually have to go for Adam, to be fair, because he's been waiting for a while. And I also want to say, Adam, toaster.
You know what it means now?
I don't know what it means, but I just know that it's a thing.
So there's a chasm in your knowledge of it.
There is a chasm in my knowledge. There you go. How's today?
It was rough. It was really, really rough. The Audi around here isn't easy at the best of times, and we tried different setups and we just couldn't get one locked down as best we could, and it was really hard. Just the car wanted to spin the whole time, and it was it wasn't fun.
Was that just the fact that maybe it was low downforce because you got to be quick down the straights around here? Was that making it extra tricky through the corners, you think?
Well, the funny thing, some of these GT3 cars, you don't ever run anything other than the most wing. Even on low downforce tracks like this, you still run it on full wing because it doesn't make that much difference. If anything, you lose more in the corners by stripping it off. So, I think it's just a tricky combination. We came here, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, something like that, for a VRS endurance race here. And we tried it with the Audi then, and it still didn't work even before the updates. So yeah, it's just a really tricky combination.
We saw on the formation lap some drivers. I think Oscar Mangan was the guy who was doing it most, particularly in race 1, weaving from side to side. I think even doing a burnout at one point. What's your strategy at the moment with the tyre warm up? What do you think is the best way to go about it?
Well, it's really tough to actually start weaving around and whatnot because there's so many cars on the grid. You kind of like locked down into that one position and you can't get out of it. You just have to do these piddly little weaving burnout-y brake things, and if anything, you end up scrubbing the tyres more. I think the limited amount of turning you can put in during that pace lap you're not going to get any heat in them anyway, so you might as well just save the tyres that you got.
And next up we head to Monza. How do you feel about that circuit? Do you kind of revel the slipstream circuits, or would you quite like to go back to some of the more tight, twisty places?
I do prefer the drafty tracks. I'm not in a GT3. I'm not great under braking. To be fair, that's the same in a lot of rear-wheel drive cars. I can't. I'm too timid to push it to be a late braker, which you really need to be doing in these type of cars, like to make the time up. So the draft tracks, I love that because it means that I can be a little bit slower in the corners and I can still be in contention with the car in front, whoever it might be. So I enjoy Monza. It's a lot of fun. It's trickier than what it seems. Though the first chicane and then the one after that, they're really tough to get right, and you can lose out massively if you're not committed to them. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm saying it with a big smile on my face. After tonight, I just can't wait to get to Monza, to be honest.
Absolutely. Well done out there today, Adam. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
You guys for doing the broadcast. Sam, obviously, to you for stepping in at late notice. Poor old Woody couldn't be here. to the Boosted guys, we've had an interesting night between us, but we've kept our chins up and we've had a laugh anyway. To the league admins, they got a tough week ahead of them with a lot of the biggies this week. And then to anyone that's watching, just stay safe, take the advice that's been given out to us all, and stay home and enjoy some sim racing.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Adam, and well, best of luck on Thursday.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Yeah.
Best of luck for that.
Cheers, Adam.
Yes, Adam Hedgecock, who I think got a DNF in race 1 and then 33rd in race 2 and 23rd in race 3. I think that pretty much rounds off the racing today, Adam, and as predicted with Road America, it was some pretty intense action today.
Yeah, it didn't disappoint in all 3 races, did it? Really, we had the quickest guys at the front. Battling it out in race 1, McLaren really showing their pace, the pace in their cars anyway, with all the different teams that representing them. Race 2 was another brilliant one, and we had more of the same in race 3. One trend in particular was though that the lead was never in question after a couple of laps, was it? Oscar Mangan lights the flag race 1. Christian Rose, once he took the lead early on, he led a total of 10 laps. He led every single lap, in fact, to win that one. And then once Josh Thompson took the lead on lap 2, he was able to go all the way forward from there to take the victory. So we are now going to take a week's break on the World GT Championship, but join us in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks today, when the series heads to Italy, to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza for another 3 20-minute sprint races. A reminder for viewers outside the UK, it is going to be 8 o'clock British summer time by the time we're back on the air. But by the time this happened, it'll probably be 9 Central European time and whatnot. But British summer time is an hour ahead of GMT, so do bear that in mind. But thanks to all of you that have joined us on the iRacing Esports Network today. My thanks to Sam Kumo for doing the cameras and the reverse grid wheel. My thanks to Sam Fitzpatrick as well for joining me in the commentary box, helping to stand in for Andrew Woodhouse, who has got internet issues, I believe. Hopefully that will be sorted for when me and him reconvene for the ARLTC on Thursday. Now that's something to watch out for. And that's on Thursday at 8 o'clock GMT. So a bit of a truncated outro here, but we are out of time. Thanks for joining us here in the World GT Championship over at America. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Monza. Bye for now.